Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, one and all to KUMB TV and Eyes Up Mother Brown for this afternoon's Premier League clash between West Ham but not Stockport, as it says behind me. There's always something I forget, and that's what we've got today. While I'm changing that, I'm going to pass you over to Gnome right away. We're about 18 minutes away from kickoff, and Gnome is going to take us through this afternoon's team. Gnome, over to you.
Afternoon, everybody. Good news is Fabianski's recovered from the knock that he picked up in the warm-up recently. So we start up as follows. Fabianski in goal. Sufal, Dawson, Ogbonna, Cresswell, Rice, Souček, Bowen, Benrahma, Fornals, and Antonio. Excuse me. On the bench, we have Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Alves, Noble, Diop, Fredericks, Johnson, Randolph, and Odubeko. And for the visitors, they line up as follows. Pope in goal, Lowton, Tarkowski, me, Peters, Gudmundsson, Westwood, Brownhill, Brady, Wood, and Barnes. On the bench, they have Cork, McNeil, Stevens, Rodriguez, Norris is the keeper, Bardsley, Vidra, Long, and Benson. Your referee today is Mr. Kavanagh.
There you go. Thank you, Gnome, and welcome also to my fellow moderators on the KUMB forum, the Pink, Palermo, and Rio, who are also joining us this afternoon. The rather hirsute looking Mr. Palermo, of course, this afternoon, as you may have spotted, sitting underneath his boomerang there in Brentwood Towers. Looking at the team today there, Pinky, West Ham's team. No real surprises, I guess, but a couple of surprises on the bench, perhaps a couple of youngsters out there in Alves and Odubeko.
Yeah, I think when you've got a squad that is best described as wafer thin, you're not going to get too many surprises in the starting 11 most weeks, are you? Because, you know, what real choices does the manager have? He certainly doesn't have a choice in the striker department in terms of experience, although he's got the young lad on the bench. We've gone with this 4-2-3-1 today against a Burnley team that struggling for goals themselves. So I'm not expecting an 8-goal thriller today. But just looking specifically at our bench, the attacking options with Fredericks, as a fullback, Diop as a centre back, we're ending up Johnson as a fullback, Randolph there as the keeper. We've got one attacking option really in the striking department.
Yep.
Yarmo is almost certainly going to be the first change today. You'd say Lanzini will be the second change if he makes one. It's very predictable is the point I'm making here. So I think Sean Dyche will be able to look at that and go, yeah, I know exactly what they're going to do today. Yeah. Probably be a change on and around the hour. Yarmolenko will come on. So I would expect Burnley today keep this super tight until we've made the change. And then when Yarmolenko comes on, I expect them to pummel down his flank and try and force the error because he will be the player. So there you go. I'm the boo boy for Yarmo at the minute. I think he's good in the opposition's half of the field. But I think every single opponent knows, force him to defend, he'll make the mistake and the gap will appear. So I'm not full of the joys of spring today.
Okay. Well, let's see how that goes. Well, what do you make of the youngster on the bench, Odubeko? Do you think we're likely to see him at all at some point, assuming there's no injury, of course, to Michail Antonio?
Only if we're 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I mean, we all like to see the young lads getting a game. But the reality is the manager's unlikely to play him as long as Antonio doesn't do a hamstring. Let's be super negative and say Antonio pulls up in the opening 10 minutes. We suddenly go from, isn't it great to see a youngster getting a game, to crikey, we've got a youngster, effectively then starting up top against Burnley. Against that Burnley backline, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's it. No movement in the transfer window, of course, this week. West Ham linked with a whole plethora of goal scorers and forwards. Nothing doing since the sale of Sebastian Haller last weekend, though, of course, hence why, as Pinky has pointed out, we go into the game with Antonio as our only real striker, and he's a converted one. That, of course, our final member of the panel this afternoon is Rio. Good to see you, Rio. Of course, as is becoming sort of the most important point of your appearance every week now, I guess, is the T-shirts. What are we wearing today, buddy?
This one is Parkway Drive, Australian band. And they, about 5 or 6 years ago, they aged me considerably overnight. Went to see them at the Indigo, me and my mate. We walked in there, looked around, and there was no one else aged within 15 years of us. And I felt very, very old, almost on a register of some sort at one point. And yeah, it was a strange one, that one. Very strange one. A good band, good Australian band.
What sort of music are we talking? Who do they? Who would you say are their peers, and play the similar sort of music?
Well, obviously they're a metal band of the newish breed, but they're incredibly good. I recommend their Deep Blue and Ire, their best 2 albums. So check them out. They're an incredibly good live band as well. So look on YouTube for their Bloodstock performance from last year, and you'll be in for a treat if you're into that kind of music.
Well, there you go. There's a wonderful free advert for the band from Rio on this afternoon's show. If you haven't checked them out and you like that sort of thing, there you go. There's the places to go. Rio, back to matters closer to home now. West Ham today against Burnley, looking for a win. We've seen the team. What's your initial thoughts on that, buddy? Any surprises for you there?
I'm not at all. I mean, that team is pretty much picks itself, doesn't it? Right. Really good to see 4-0 starting. But we haven't got a plethora of options, have we? And it picks itself, doesn't it? They just flashed up a stat on Amazon about 5 minutes ago, which doesn't fill me with joy. We all know Burnley are hard to break down. But David Moyes' record against Burnley sides and Sean Dyche borders on the let's turn it off and put one division on, because I think it was 6 games and we've scored once.
Oh.
So
the thing, so David Moyes, whenever we play anyone in the last few weeks, this stat seems to have come up. Manchester United, of course, they always say that he hasn't got a very good record against the entire top 6. We hear that David Moyes hasn't got a very. There must be someone out there who David Moyes has played as a manager, and he smashed them in every single game to kind of balance the stats a bit, mustn't there?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I'm just hoping, because let's face it, he broke the hoodoo against Norwich at Carrow Road.
Yep.
He broke a little bit of a hoodoo against Everton the other week.
Yeah.
It's a hat trick of hoodoo brokers. But in the build-up, I mean, the forum's been awash with a little bit of negativity all week, because 8 games against Burnley are normally turgid and dire affairs. Very few goals. They're incredibly hard to break down. At home, we struggle to take the initiative and break sides down, as we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's best summed up by Vic Watson's comment earlier in the week. This is going to be a very dire spectacle, 0-0. That pretty much sums up the feelings of the forum all week on this. So I just hope the viewers are entertained by us, our little mutterings and meanderings, rather than what's on the pitch, because let's be honest, we got more chance of entertaining than the team yesterday.
Well, that'd certainly be a first if that was the case, but you never know. Fingers crossed. Not a lot of confidence out there. Pinky not expecting much from the game. Vic Watson, a big name from the KUMB forum, expecting a 0-0 drab and turgid affair. Gnome, sprinkle some love and some positivity on this game for me, if you will. Tell me it's going to finish 6-5 or something like that.
I'd love it to, in our favour, without the 5. It's if you look at Burnley's record, it's 1-0. It's a standard result either way for them, I think, and usually against them. I'll be honest, I can't see an awful lot of. I've just been watching Pope make save after save after save there on the Amazon program, which
and he was thinking it was Jesus saved. Now he's down. He's delegated.
Yeah, he's delegating downwards these days.
Very good, very good. First fun of the day there, team. Look at that. We've only been live for about 12 minutes. Amazing.
And it ain't going to get any better, folks.
But who are we worried about? No, I mean, the Burnley
team.
team.
It's going to be a tight affair.
Yeah.
You know, we played better on the counter. We are at the moment lately been playing better on the counter.
Yeah.
You saw against Stockport. It's it was conditions were atrocious and that had an awful lot to do. But it's going to be that sort of thing where the opposition are going to be tight, trying to snuff out, and we need a bit of spark and creativity.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Ben Rama playing much further up the pitch than he was against Stockport.
Okay.
Becoming far too deep.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what happens if Bowen gets any win here, Tarkowski. You'll remember in the corresponding fixture last season, which was only back in July, Tarkowski got away with a yellow for an absolute disgusting challenge, which was, I think Bowen or maybe one of his teammates might be looking out for him after that one. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. That might be interesting.
Yes,
which might brighten up things a bit if it gets a little bit tighter. Let's kick Tarkowski just for fun.
Well, as you can see, we're already scrambling for things to be entertained by this afternoon. This has got a 6-5 nailed on, written all over it now. But given the drab approach to this game, I think. Right, here's one for you, gentlemen. West Ham versus Burnley. 90 previous meetings between the two clubs. Who has won the most? What do we reckon? Pinky, what about you? Who do you think?
I would think it'd be fairly even, Stevens, with us just having the edge.
Okay. Rio?
Yeah, I'd go pretty much along with that. I think we've just got the edge on this.
Gnome?
Yeah, are we in the 50s and then the 40s or something like that? Or no, because there's draws involved. But let's say it's 30, 20 and a load of draws then.
I'm getting the feeling you lot have been cheating a little bit.
No, seriously,
you are all absolutely spot on. There have been 18 draws, out of those 90 meetings. Of the other 72 matches, Burnley have won 35, West Ham 37. So well done, everyone, today. Absolutely spot on. West Ham just edging it. Yeah, that's it. And of course, the most recent meeting between the two sides coming on the 8th of July. West Ham losing 1-0 at home to Burnley. Of course, losing home and away last season, beaten 3-0 up at Burnley back in November 2000.
The away trip. Not only was it Roberto's finest hour.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Roberto,
I also had the misfortune to be freezing my bits off outside the cricket club with Pinky.
Bought you a pint, didn't I?
Yeah. It'll thaw out in a minute.
Yeah.
Pinky.
It was cold and wet, wasn't it? I made sure I'd had a couple of drinks somewhere warmer. An ex-missus of mine lives up there. I'm still on good terms, so I went for a bite to eat with her first because she was running me back to Preston after the game to get the train. So it cost me a meal and some petrol. But yeah, I mean,
as they talk about sailors having a woman in every port, and there's Gnome with a woman at every away ground. Pinky, what are your memories of that day? The Roberto match we speak about yesterday, that we speak about so frequently, shudderingly.
Well, always at Burnley, the pie of choice is the hot peppered steak pie. So that's the first thing that you do when you go to Burnley. The cricket club obviously was heaving and freezing, as Gnome points out, but the game itself, that really was Roberto at his. We didn't know whether to laugh or cry at that point. The one where he literally threw it into his net. Yeah, I tell you what, discussion was it a betting scam? It was one of those, wasn't it? And
I tell you what, when I got into the car, when Charlotte picked me up, and she sort of had a little listen to the results, she says, "Oh, here you guys," she's South Africans, I won't do the accent, but here you guys didn't do so well. And I said, I'm not making this up. Our goalkeeper chucked the ball into his own net. And she said, no, no. I said, I'm serious. I'm serious. And I got home at whatever time it was. I got home having beaten the rush, got a lift to Preston, fast train home. And I got in. I just was about to send a text message to thank her for the lift. And I got a message back. She said, for the first time ever, I've just watched Match of the Day. You're right. He did throw it into his own net.
Yeah, horrific, horrific memories, horrific. But we are hoping for a better result, of course, this afternoon. West Ham beaten home and away by Burnley, as we said. Burnley's form going into this one, a little bit up and down, a little bit inconsistent. I mean, you could say they've been showing as much consistency as Gnome's pronunciation during the Stockport stream of our right-back surname, possibly.
Well,
is it Kufal or Sufal today, Gnome?
I've heard both, so I'm equal opportunities. I'm going to pronounce it souffle or something like that.
I think, as I said, to Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
never at the EU, it's Kufal.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because
yes, the
professional
Brexit version.
commentators who look this sort of stuff up have started calling him Soufal.
Yeah, James Rodriguez and Thomas Kufal, our post-Brexit footballers. We're just about ready to start by the looks of my Amazon Prime stream. Of course, Amazon streaming the game for us live this afternoon. Yeah, I was just saying about Burnley's form there, not just as a segue into a poor joke about Gnome's pronunciation of Thomas Kufal, but up and down very much the form. Beaten by Manchester United, drew with MK Dons before that in the FA Cup, of course, in regulation time. Beat Sheffield United 1-0 and lost 1-0 to Leeds before that. Beat Wolves 2-1, a decent win. Drew with Villa, lost and narrowly beat Arsenal. So very up and down, Rio. What are you expecting Burnley to do today? How are you expecting them to come out to kind of follow the way they've been playing recently and sort of sit back? Or do you think they'll be a little bit more attacking given that it's West Ham they're playing and, not Manchester United this week?
Well, they've scored 9 goals in the league all season, which for me means they're going to win about 3 or 4-0 today because they're just going to come out and use all their attacking intent against us because that's the way that football works, isn't it? Yeah. Mm. Sean Dyche's sides are always compact, always hard working. They've not got a lot of attacking flair in their side, but Chris Wood always seems to score against us.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting. Yeah, I'm not expecting much attacking intent from Burnley, but you just feel that Chris Wood has always got a goal in against us. We can't keep 4 clean sheets in a row, surely. No, it's just not the West Ham way, is it? So I'm not expecting, as I said, much attacking attempt from Burnley, but I'm expecting them to sit back and soak up whatever we can throw at them, hit us on the counter, deep cross into the far post, and Chris Wood knocks in at the back.
Well, we are underway. Thank you, Rio. We are underway. Sort of a bit of a foodish theme so far. We've had hot peppered steak pie and souffle. I'm looking at Burnley's away kit and thinking rhubarb and custard here. Pardon?
Have you actually started? Because I've only just started.
Yes, I have. I'm on 14 seconds now.
Okay, I might reboot.
Chris Gavler's already given a free kick by the looks of things. First incident of the day. We have a Burnley player on the deck. Pinky, did you see what happened there? I was looking
not
at
at all. I wasn't paying any attention whatsoever. I'm still sorting out the technology for the game. So
okay, it's actually, I can tell you, it's
behind you. Oh yes,
it's a nasty one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Declan Rice.
It's a first for Burnley, a genuine clash of heads.
Mm. Now, what's the situation with these and concussion now? Is that rule kicked in yet? In terms of players,
I don't know, but actually, I caught the tail end of Jerry Maguire last night, and I'd actually like to see a player get up from one of these and do a Rod Tidwell moment. Yeah, if you've ever had to suffer the film, it's an American footballer who gets up, having had a bit of a blast on the head, and he does a little dance and a little show for the crowd, and all the rest of it gets quite emotional. I mean, where's the sense of humour? Declan Rice should have been up doing that, the big one. I don't know. These players are taking it all too seriously.
I'm back in the room, counting down at 1:30 now.
Okay, pretty much bang on the same time together. Okay. I think we've already earned our first minute of added on time there in the opening seconds of the game for that challenge. Quick hellos to everyone who's joining us on the live stream. Foregone conclusion to Dan, to Polaroid, to Hobo, everyone else who's joining us. Hello, good afternoon. Let us know what you're thinking of the game as it goes on. Do also post on the KUMB.com forum match thread, where Rio will be keeping a close look on how things are going. Pinky, with my usual attention to detail, I failed to find a suitable Burnley site to follow. Do we have one currently? Or?
Yeah, we do. Up the Clarets, and
up the Clarets, of course.
Yeah, you know, there's a little bit of discussion about their front pairing, actually, in terms of they're just not scoring enough. Although I would say, as someone who wouldn't spend a lot of time watching Burnley, I very much doubt that's actually down to the front two not scoring very much. I suspect it's the way that Mr. Dyche sends them out, which is the nil is the most important part of the scoreline, as in make sure you don't concede. So, I mean, I just think that's an interesting thing. There was talk, you know, maybe a year ago about whether Dyche, you know, to come to West Ham United. But I just wonder, you know, David Moyes gets an awful lot of grief for being, from some of our support, for being allegedly Allardyce-esque.
Yeah.
People wanted Sean Dyche. And you know, just have a look at this. For people that actually think Sean Dyche would be appropriate for West Ham United, see how his team sets out today.
Yeah, very much so. Very good point, gentlemen. We haven't done our predictions yet, have we? Should we get those in quickly? Rio, what do you reckon this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm going for the 1-0 defeat. I just can't see nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Gnome?
1-0 to us. Although, yeah, like, it's going to be 1-0 either way or 0-0. I'll go 1-0 to us.
Okay, Pinky?
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting to die before either team actually gets a goal today, but let's try and be positive. 1-0 West Ham.
Okay.
You've grown a beard since that.
Yes.
I'm going to buck the trend. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win for West Ham. For no other reason, just to be different to everybody else. So what have we got? 3 West Ham wins and Rio predicting an away win. No draws on the cards, according to us. Let us know, of course, what you think the score is going to be in the live chat on YouTube. A foregone conclusion, going for a 2-0 win for us. Richard Van, how you doing, Richard? Going for a 1-0 West Ham well-earned winner. Mark English going out there with a 5-1 win for West Ham. Mark, wasn't it you who predicted we would win 5-0
every week
the other day, or 7 or 8 or something, if I remember rightly? Possibly. I can't remember. Somebody did. Hobo going for a 1-0 home defeat. Going with Rio, says Hobo, a 1-0 defeat. So we shall see. Not an awful lot happened. I've barely looked at the screen. I suppose I should watch the game, given that we're supposed to be commentating on it for you this afternoon. 4.5 minutes gone. West Ham United 0, Burnley 0. Rio, has anything caught your eye so far in what we've seen, apart from that early ugly challenge, of course, or collision?
No, the only thing really is that the clash of heads. Brownhill laid on the floor, had to get medical attention. Declan just stood up, got him back on with it. You know, man's made of sterner stuff.
Excuse me. Declan Rice, of course, celebrating his 22nd birthday this week. So from everybody here at KUMB, very many happy returns to young Declan. 22, gosh, 7 years, been at the club now. Club captain, doing superb, probably the best player so far this season. 5 minutes into the game, no shots to speak of yet. West Ham looking to push on Gnome down the left-hand side here. It's all been very, very niggly and pointless so far, really. Not a lot happening.
Yeah, I mean, just summed it up there. Lots of throw-ins, and ball comes in, couple of touches, it goes out for another throw-in. Antonio's just looped a ball into the arms of, well, Pope there for no readily apparent reason. Very sort of nothing real game sort of thing. Both teams sizing each other up. Fabianski launches one long and it's out for yet another throw-in. I don't know what the record number of throw-ins in a match is, but I think we could see it threatened today.
2 absolutely horrendous passages of play from West Ham. They're perfectly described by Gnome. The Antonio just looping the ball back into Pope's arms, and Fabianski booting the ball straight out of play, bringing to mind, Pinky, one of those John Moncur passes within the opening seconds of a half, of course.
It matters more when there's money on it. Allegedly. So I just thought I'd get that in the nick of time. You know, but yeah, there was some
first shot of the game there. from Gudmundsson. Ball given away, works its way over to Gudmundsson, about 25 yards out. Yeah, misplaced pass from that was there, but yeah, Gudmundsson got on it, tried to curl it over Fabianski. Fairly comfortable save, but probably the first shot of any sort really today. Yeah, again coming from West Ham giving the ball away. And it was Souček gave the ball away there. It was a poor pass.
Was that Souček or Kuček? I'm not sure.
Don't be silly.
It begins with an S.
I'll give you a bit of help, Graham, because obviously you're struggling. The S is the one that looks like a snake. All right.
7.5 minutes gone. West Ham United 0, Burnley 0. I'm trying to make this game sound exciting, and of course, it is anything but so far. As Gnome said, the only shot of the game coming from Gudmundsson. A little dink, really trying to dink one over Fabianski and going straight into his arms. Pinky, looking at the way West Ham are lining up, is there anything that sort of struck you as unusual, or is it all fairly standard stuff so far?
It's standard stuff. I mean, you know, this is going to be a battle royal in the middle of the park. There's not going to be an awful lot of space there. Today is the day you've got to move the ball quickly. Whatever you do, move the ball quickly. So pass and move stuff. I'll be interested to see now how influential Benrahma can be in this today. You know, I'll withhold my next comment I was going to make, because let's give the guy a chance. But, you know, this is where we've got to find out, can he actually give us a bit of magic today to make the difference? Because in you know, where 3 of the 4 of us are saying there's a goal either way in it, you need your so-called playmaker to be the one that actually does the business. Can he do it? I think we'll know in 90 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't do an awful lot, as we said, against Stockport the other day. He was looking for a little bit more. Hopefully can do something now. He's on the ball now, Ben Ram. He's tried to thread a through ball to Souček in the box, who is in the box, and lays it back. West Ham looking to build here. Oh,
flag up there. I think that's it.
Offside. Yeah. Antonio's got the ball in the net now.
Well, it's given at the moment. There's some great work from Bone to keep the ball alive. Played the ball back. I'm not sure. I think it was Cresswell got the cross in.
Yeah.
And Antonio came in at the far post. He was certainly goal side of his defender at the time he played the ball, but the time the ball was played, we'll see it better now. It was a good ball from Benrahma into Bowen, who got forced down the goal line. And is that 4 now? Yeah, I think he's onside, you know.
Oh, he's clearly onside. The number 23, Burnley's defender,
and Antonio at the end.
Rio, West Ham United 1, Burnley 0. You know, we said there weren't going to be many goals in this. We've had one with our first attack of the game.
Yeah, let's shut up shop now. Let's revert to type. Just shut up shop. It's a great start. It's exactly what we needed. We always struggle against these, like to break them down. They're very compact. That was a great delivery, as Gnome said. Great ball in by Benrahma. Bowen did it incredibly well. I'm just trying to see who put the cross in. I think it was 4-0. Good delivery. And Antonio doing what he does best. At the far post, knocking it in. Simple. You know? Missed header there. Was it Tarkovsky, I think, missed a header?
Yeah, shame.
Yeah. I've got a comment about him in a minute. Let's do the aftermath of the goal first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a thought. I was going to say, before we actually got the move that got the goal, I was going to comment on Tarkovsky so far today. He's pushing up, obviously with us only really playing one up front. He was pushing up into midfield, and he was doing that, committing the foul on the halfway line. Long ballers, and Antonio gave me something to think about there. And I did notice how far forward he was pushing up to try and stop attacks developing. And he got away with two of those little nothing fouls on the halfway line. Be interested to see if the referee notices the persistent foul play thing coming into play there. Long ball down, and Soufal gives up on it. Probably never going to get there, but another thing I would like to say is that about 10 minutes before we came on air, I had a message from the beloved, who has the occasional flutter on these things. And I don't know if she's backed him, but her question was, is Antonio playing today? So if you've laid on that bet, well done.
Maybe she's just hoping he's not, and she's going to pop round his place for a spot of How's Your Father because she knows you're doing this. I'm just putting it out there as a possibility. Not for me to start rumours or anything, but just in terms of the goal, I've got to say, seconds after I was saying what can Benrahma do today, he plays a peach of a pass.
Yeah.
30 yards forward. And by the time Fornals put the cross in, Antonio was absolutely where you'd want a striker to be, and he's starting to get striker's instincts. Antonio, he's starting to be in the right position, so that the ball kind of comes to them. The sort of strikers tend to have that knack of the ball always finding them at the right moment. And good goal of that by West Ham, no question.
Yeah, also, it reminds me very much of Gary Lineker, that Pinky, someone who benefited from that sort of like always in the right place at the right time during his career. Scored a lot of goals like that. Pinky, Pablo Fornals, we like him. We think he's a great player. Been lacking on the end product front a little bit in the opposing third lately. So really good to see him getting us another assist to his name there.
I like him. I think he's got good energy. I think he'll run all day for the team. And he plays with a smile on his face, and give me a team of players who actually want to play for West Ham United, who are happy to play for West Ham United. And dare I say it, we've just lost a striker to a Dutch club who seems happier playing for a Dutch club, shall we say?
Oh, that's a good ball gone. Oh, thought Antonio was through there. Burnley, the flag did go up. It looked like a lovely through ball. But I think me just got in. I thought Antonio might have got on the end of that and given the officials something to think about. But it just showed the flag going up. Wouldn't mind seeing that again though.
Yeah, we had Fornals and Benrahma combining well in the middle there.
Yeah.
So again, two players with reasonably quick feet, and dare I say it, the kind of football West Ham United supporters like watching. So, that's a promising sign.
14 minutes gone. West Ham United 1, Burnley 0. The opening goal of the game coming in the 9th minute from Michail Antonio. We were saying, Rio, that Pinky was pointing out there that Antonio is fast developing that knack of being in the right place at the right time to pick up those scraps, etc., and those little balls into the 6-yard box. I'm just looking at Robbie Brady there for the goal, and I would imagine Sean Dyche is going to be going apoplectic about his level of attention there. I mean, we're just seeing a replay of it, and Brady's just stood there watching Antonio, no more than 3 feet in front of him. Odd.
For a Burnley side, that was a comedy of errors, wasn't it? I mean, Brady's that stood there. Tarkowski, the international, allegedly rated £30 million, has just watched the ball sail over his head. Yeah. That's pretty inexplicable particularly for a Sean Dyche side. It was normally so well drilled at the back, it's just a very Burnley-like goal to concede. But I'm not complaining. Let's take it.
No, absolutely no complaints from us here. For the record, I appear to be in green again on the YouTube stream. My apologies for that. I've no idea why that
bursting forward now. Oh, just ran into Benrahma was on the ball there and probably had options there. She's the infuriating side of Benrahma, where he's running out of defence. And he does have options, and he chose the wrong one. He just ran into traffic. Burnley brought it out.
The obvious ball there was Fornals,
is Antonio's celebration. Anybody got any clues as to why he decided to do the backstroke on the floor there?
Is it a reference to the other night, Monday night?
Could well be.
Could have actually swum home.
Yeah. Could well be, yeah.
Any guesses from the guys watching us on the YouTube live stream? Let us know what you thought Michail Antonio's goal celebration was out. Kind of like a sort of weird wiggly worm on his back. I have no idea.
Well, it was backstroke, wasn't it? It was swimming.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think I wouldn't fancy his chances in 100 meters in the Olympics if he was doing that for.
No, Grab. He's a footballer. He's not a swimmer.
Well, indeed, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
You're
16.
marks off for style now.
You've just got the up because I pulled you up about Kufal. Come on, let's be honest.
You ain't getting away with that, mate.
17 minutes gone,
now.
almost. West Ham leading.
Sorry, but I'll just say Burnley on the ball there. Ball played in, lovely step out and interception from O'Connor. Really classy sort of stop there, because I was looking a bit promising for the visitors there, but things calmed down now and we're knocking it about.
No, are you getting the impression here that this game is slightly more open than perhaps we'd have expected it to be at the start of the game?
Well, it will be now, because Burnley will have to, if they want anything out of the game, will have to come out, as Antonio forces a rash clearance to Bowen, who gets forces a corner from that. Good work from Antonio. Closed the defender down. Looks like that was on the left there, but the clearance went as far as Bowen, who burst into the box there, and hit the Burnley player on the arm. But he put his hand up to claim it, but it's one of those ones. His arm was by his side, never a penalty.
So what's the rule for that?
Everybody goes like that now automatically, don't you? When you see one of those. So. Bowen on the corner anyway. Corner taken in. Bonner rises and heads wide. But yeah, it's got to be more open now. I think the first couple of minutes, it was always going to suit us to score early, because it would mean that the game progressively then would have to become open, because otherwise Burnley would have just sat back and we'd have spent 80 minutes trying to break them down. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's good, I guess, for all of us watching the game here at home on our TVs. Hopefully there will be a few more chances than we might have otherwise expected from a West Ham United versus Burnley clash. A couple of comments coming in on the YouTube chat. Evan Rose, hi Evan joining us on the stream. Otter, the Otter of Despair, saying that Michail Antonio was a lifeguard at a swimming pool before becoming a footballer. There you go. Although he reckons it's also more likely to be something to do with the Stockport pitch on Monday night. Any other guesses or contributions to that? Do let us know. But good to see Michail Antonio celebrating yet again in front of, albeit an empty stand. 19 minutes gone. West Ham 1, Burnley 0. Pinky. Burnley really struggling to make any inroads. We had that one shot from them, from Goodmanson on the 7th minute. They've not really had any efforts on goal, yet not even looked like breaching our defensive back line at the moment. West Ham holding firm.
Absolutely, and having the lion's share of the ball, I'd say, at this point in time. So we're doing well. I mean, interesting comment on Up the Clarets from a guy called Jedi Master. And he's saying, it's a strange paradox with this team. We go one in front, confident we'll win. We go one down, and I'm certain we'll lose. There's nothing in between. So already, their chat board is absolutely filled with people going, "We're doomed." So that's encouraging to me. But I think we're playing some terrific stuff here today. It's hard to overstate the difference it makes to our way of play to have an Antonio up top firing on all cylinders. It's a huge difference compared with what we had when Seb Haller was standing in for him. So I'm pretty confident at this point in time that this could be a thrilling 1-0 win to West Ham.
Very an interesting. I was just going to ask you about the glove count, Pinky, on the pitch today. While you were just talking there, I was having a look around. I can see Mr. Ben Rama sporting that.
Done well there.
He's done a really good job.
Did no favours, but he rescued that. Ball's now with Soufal. Cross goes in towards Antonio, but headed clear. Ben Rama did well there because Antonio was trying to move the ball quickly, rightly so, but played the ball slightly behind Ben Rama, who checked his run, gathered it, and then beat the player to set up a decent move there. So as I say, some promising stuff there. And Ben Rama and Antonio haven't really sort of played an awful lot together with Ben Rama behind Antonio, and that might be something that there's a little sort of partnership as a cross comes in to Fabianski, but Fabianski claims easily, nobody near him anyway. That might be an interesting thing to see develop. Yeah,
very, very much so. Pinky, we were just talking about the glove count.
that they'd did I imagine this? I thought they were introducing a glove protocol where all the players had to wear gloves. Did I just imagine that?
It's not one I've heard of.
Not one
You mean
I've heard of,
as a response to the COVID
Yeah,
situation, presumably?
yeah, absolutely.
Not one I've heard of, mate, but yeah.
Where did I get that in my head from?
Who knows? Who knows?
Scottish football, perhaps. So,
if anyone's aware of where that's come from, if anyone's seen that also, as well as Pinky, do let us know. But only a couple. I can't see any Burnley players gloved up today. We've got Michail Antonio, Pinky, as well as Ben Rama, as we see Souček sweep a ball to the far post.
No, I mean, you would expect tough Northerners to need gloves in this temperature. You know, I mean, I'm surprised.
Really a foul referee.
You know, they don't need to stay warm. These guys, you know, they'd be out shaving their heads and all sorts in these temperatures.
Angelo Bonner as well, Pinky. So 3-0. I make that to West Ham in the glove count. David Moyes agrees with you about that foul by the looks of it, Gnome.
Ball's up in the air. Declan jumps up and heads it. You know, he catches, runs it. The guy on the follow through, but it was a clean header. That's not a foul. Not in a million years. What's
the view on Chris Kavanagh, Gnome, in terms of, you know, in the Premier League referees hierarchy? How high or low does he rank?
He's sort of just the sort of mediocre mid-table. Yeah, he doesn't really know what he's doing. But you know, he's not one of the exhibitionists, the Olivers or the Deans, and he's not one of the complete incompetents. You know, so he's the sort of mediocre mid-table. You know, I'm trying to think of who's mid-table now. Is the just happens to be there type referee.
I just love that he doesn't really know what he's doing, you know, as if it's sort of de facto amongst Premier League referees.
Burnley have just forced a corner, which I think is their first. Ball's come off 4 nails there. Yeah, I mean, you've got 3 levels of referees. You've got the complete and utter idiots who think we're there to watch them. You've got the complete and utter idiots who haven't a clue what they're doing. And you've got the sort of the ones who sort of sit in the middle, who keep their heads down and their places because of it. Anyway, corner, it looks like it's going to be an in-swinger. Doesn't beat 4 nails at the near post. Good header away for a throw into Burnley.
Yeah, the first, is that the first? Not the first Burnley corner of the game.
I think the first Burnley one. I don't recall
we've
another.
had one. Have we 1 or 2 possibly? Anyway,
I say I think the club are missing a trick here. They should almost have your sort of rating on the ref printed on the back of every match programme. Gordon, you know, sort of like, yeah, before kickoff in your 4 categories, you could just rank them as, you know, are they a 1, 2, 3, or a 4? So you know, we all know what to expect. You know, if anyone at the club's actually watching this, and you know, I think just get in touch with them. I think for a reasonable fee, he'll provide.
No, trust me, the fee won't be very reasonable, but I like it.
25 minutes.
I think extortionate.
Exorbitant and extortionate. 25 minutes gone. West Ham United 1, Burnley 0. Burnley looking to break on the left. Got first time we've seen Burnley Rio get their foot on the ball really the last couple of minutes and enjoy a bit of possession. It's all been very bitty from them up until now.
Yeah, we've played this very cleverly indeed. We've had a lion's share possession, as Pinky said. We've not really given them an opportunity, and this is the first real inkling they've had of any kind of pressure on us, and we've dealt with it really well. Been really a couple of good interceptions by Creswell and Ogbonna. We don't look trouble at the moment, and they haven't really got the creativity to really hurt us. It's going to be a cross from deep and a header that's going to really make us work. Their midfield is nothing but workmanlike. We've got the creativity on our side. We're defending quite well. We're intercepting well in all areas of the pitch. I'm not worried at all at the moment. It's very unusual. Someone take my temperature, please.
Yeah, very unusual indeed. We're just seeing Burnley breaking on the right-hand side, and will a cross come in here? Pablo Fornals has gone out to cover. as Burnley tries to play it inside, and that's going to be a free kick on the edge of the box, possibly a yellow card from Cresswell. I don't think Mr. Kavanagh is going to give a foul for, a card for that one. Just a bit of a tug, really, Gnome, on the shirt there.
Yeah, silly foul to get away. He's been beaten all ends up. He's got the wrong side, and it was that Wood, was it? Didn't see the number, but has played it around the outside, and Cresswell's made sure he didn't get onto the end of it. So yeah, free kick, dangerous position. It's just see exactly where they're going to take it from, which needn't necessarily, kind of inside right position, maybe half a yard outside the box.
Yeah, it looks like one of those little training ground routines coming up here, Gnome.
Yeah,
ideally made for a left footer, you think, but as one of them's gone into the box now.
Yeah. Dangerous, this one. With Brady's sort of eyeing that one up, sort of with the run for the left, but Brown here looks like Brady's taken it straight into the wall. Comes out to Lowton, who balloons it into the next Tuesday. So survived that one. Silly free kick to give away, but just looking at free kick headed straight away with a very poor free kick, and the follow-up shot was just got under it and turned around and knew he'd done wrong there. Looked to the heavens, and so goal kick's
one of those. I'd imagine, Pinky, that Mr. Dyche is going to be very, very frustrated with what he's seen so far. His team defended really poorly for West Ham's goal, and then of course, you get a golden opportunity like that, sort of 19, 20 yards from goal, a free kick, and completely squandered by just smashing it straight into the wall.
Yeah, he'll be setting up a couple of naughty steps in the Burnley changing room as we speak. So when he goes in to give his half-time chat, a couple of the players will be identified, popped from the naughty step, and given a right royal telling off. But undoubtedly, they'll all be told to run a little bit harder in the second half. And maybe I'm giving Sean Dyche some disservice here, but perhaps it's more to do with the fact that even under new owners, they won't have an awful lot of money to spend as a football club, and he's cut his cloth to get a functional, hard-working team that survives in the Premier League and can't really compete in the aesthetic stage. And so maybe the manager cops the flack for that, which perhaps is a touch unfair. But if you set yourself out to be functional, you've got to get the basics right. And at the minute, they're not.
I was going to say, for much of what you were saying there, it sounded very familiar.
Yeah. And it's a difficult balancing act, and I'm pretty sure that Sean Dyche could look at Kevin De Bruyne and say, I think he can play a bit. He just happens to be about £100 million short of the asking fee. So I think we've got to measure some of our expectations of what some teams can deliver based on what players can actually afford.
Very much so. We are, thank you, Pinky. We are a third of the way through this afternoon's match, exactly on the half-hour mark. It's West Ham United 1, Burnley 0 still. Burnley failing to make any inroads, as we were just talking about there. West Ham looking to break now on the left. Declan Rice throws one into the box looking for Michail Antonio. But it's easily dealt with by Burnley, who come out again. Rio, the KUMB.com forum match thread. We should be able to get a few comments and thoughts already from what we've seen so far. What's the view over there?
Yeah, just in the aftermath of the goal, Brother Nero put, I can't celebrate a goal like I used to. Whenever we score, I just wait to see if VAR will find something to look at. I can't feel confident until the game is kicked off again. That's not what should happen in football. And I can't agree more with that. Egg Chaser has put about Bowen's contribution. There's a good run across the defence, which unsettled them, especially with Antonio going the other way. It's amazing what a bit of movement can achieve. Delbert has put, in regards to the vitality ad that keeps popping up, the Poxy advert with the dog, the amount of times it catches me out. And Sticky, there's a little comment on Aaron Cresswell. Cress is the weak link in the chain. Really don't rate him. As a left back, he's awful. Although he looks better as a left centre back, I think his time at the club must be coming to an end. A better player who could play both roles would be much less reliability. Sorry. Brilliant first season or two, but he's now busted flush, and we really need to upgrade there. A little bit harsh, but he's comfortable doing the end of his shelf life. But he's done a sterling job this year.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Well, good to see everyone reasonably positive, I suppose. So far as we're looking at the stands, obviously nothing going on in the game at the moment as the TV pans across. I was trying to work out who that was, Gnome, who we were just looking at.
I was checking something else actually, so I didn't see it. What I was going to say though was just there a couple of seconds ago was Burnley sort of now breaking the box. Woods looked a bit offside. Oh, that looks like an own goal. Now, I think we're going to see a VAR check on this because if the flag's not already gone up, I think the flag's gone up already. So it looks offside. So I don't think they're going to waste an awful lot of time on this. I was about to say that our friend Sufel came in with a magnificent interception. Now let's have a look. Yes, he's off. He's there's daylight between the two of them, isn't there? So I don't think they're. But it was. It sort of came off the Burnley player, then back off Cresswell, and sort of hit Cresswell's inner thigh and went in. But a little bit of a scare there, but thankfully, the right decision was reached. And
that's the problem when you're a bit heavy in the thigh. You can always give away an own goal. But just a few minutes before that, you had a promising Man United
nice football there between Bowen and I think Kufal. Ended up with a cross that nothing came of it, but some nice interplay there. Bowen's on the ball again, plays it square. Cresswell plays it out wide to Ben Rama's out on the wing there now. Looking to take his man on. Plays it back. Ball's now out with Cresswell. Ben Rama again. Ben Rama feigns across, then dummies. Running a cross goal, plays the ball nicely in there. It's played behind Sufal, which was a shame. Gets an attempt to cross him, but it's blocked. It's back out with Souček. And the whole thing comes to an end with Sufal being, I think it might have been Peters upended him. Oh, no Brady, question. Sorry, Brady.
No question for foul. We'll keep an eye on that one and see what's happening. Pinky, you were just making a point there, just momentarily.
Yeah, we're going back several minutes now, but there was a promising move down the right flank, and Ben Rama had taken up a good position to receive the ball, but Souček just couldn't find him. He put a very poor pass in. I can't help with the feeling, as good as Souček is in the air and in aerial battles and doing the defensive part of his job, I just get the feeling we're a passer short of what we need sometimes. And I just wonder if maybe David Moyes is looking for someone to come into a midfield berth and say, just give a slightly more positive on the floor option to the team, because I'm not sure Thomas Souček is that.
Fornals on the ball, plays it square to Bowen. Bowen's on the edge of the box now. Goes outside his man and forces a corner again. It's last minute or two, we're beginning to slowly turn the screw there a little bit. Some good move there good play from Fornals. And Bowen's got him scared every time he gets into that box. Good block from Peters, but we're getting some change here. So Antonio wandering around in the box, kind of ignoring the guy tugging him. Corner in from Bowen, flicked on. Oh, it's hit the post. Oh, Bonner came at the far post and he's hit the post. Cresswell now out on the wing, plays the ball back. Fornals is there. Fornals plays ball, diagonal ball across to Bowen again. And again, he does that cutting end, another deep cross. Oh, tipped away by Pope onto Bonner's head. I think you'll find. I think it's a goal kick. I don't think there's any question, despite Bonner's protestations. But having a look at the first one, could have been two. It was a nicely worked corner.
I think that might be Brownhill's nodded that on actually there. No, not Rice when that corner comes in.
Yeah. Very brave header from Bonner there. He headed that off Knee's foot effectively. It's it's looking good. We're playing well. We're looking positive. And again, I can't stress how bad the conditions were Tuesday night. But we've got two things in our favour. One, we're not underwater this week, and two, having scored that early goal, Burnley have got to be a little bit more adventurous, and they're not able. They can't sit back and do nothing for the rest of the game. So as Ben Rahman out just to force Tarkowski in slightly rushed clearance, and it's all been hoofed up in the air at the moment. Bit of head tennis, and Burnley player goes down, clutching it, immediately gets up because the referee plays advantage. And Bowen again, and he's lost out there. He intercepted well, and shot from Burnley there from about 30 yards, not that far wide. I think it's from Wood. Bowen intercepted well, and as he was waiting for the ball to come down to play it was nipped in. Brady nipped in, and there was Wood at the end of the edge of the box. Took one touch and a low shot. I think Fabianski would have had that covered, I think, but just a little sign there. But again, evidence of the fact that Burnley have got to be more adventurous than they might otherwise have come to be.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting couple of minutes there. A couple of chances for West Ham. The header onto the post, of course, so close to doubling West Ham's advantage. Then Chris Wood firing back at the other end a couple of minutes later. Just sending West Ham a little warning sign that they've still got quite a bit of work to do yet if they're to secure all 3 points here this afternoon. Now, Rio, I think you mentioned at the top of the match about the possibility of West Ham extending their goalless streak to 4 games today. Now, this is probably one we should have researched beforehand, but can you remember the last time that happened, or if indeed, it has happened at all?
I'm only taking a wild guess here, but I can only imagine we did it possibly during the 85-86 season or 80-81 when we had 2 immense runs, and it was an incredibly good side.
Yeah,
I certainly can't remember. I certainly can't remember us keeping 4 clean sheets in a row. I struggle to remember us doing 2 normally, to be honest. We're not renowned for our defending, are we?
Can I just give you an example of, we were talking about referee, and I said he was sort of a bit mediocre. And I don't know if anyone's got commentary on, and maybe, I'll stand to be corrected here, perhaps, but he gave a free kick a few seconds ago, making a sign that indicated, I think Antonio come back from an offside position. Fair enough. He then allowed the free kick to be taken 10 yards into our half. Name one place you can't be offside. In your own half.
Very good point. Very good point.
Commentary may have seen something else, but he did definitely do that sort of coming back motion.
We're just. I'm actually looking at that. I don't think there's. It's Rice who gets the flick on. Does Bonner get anything on it? Oh yes, he does. He does.
Yeah.
Strange one. Sorry for those who aren't watching this, the live stream. We're just seeing a replay of that incident where West Ham hit the post and so close to doubling their advantage. The corner from Bowen flicked on by Rice to old Bonner at the far post, who got a sort of shoulder or a head or something on it, and it cannons back off the woodwork. West Ham very unfortunate there, but yeah, very good point, Gnome. A very good spot indeed, Rio.
Yeah, I've just done a little bit of research. The 85-86 season, we actually did it 5 games on the bounce.
Okay.
Which is, it's lucky I'm sitting down because otherwise I'd have collapsed, to be honest. But yeah, between the 23rd of November and the 21st of December, 5 clean sheets in a row, including 3 away from home, which is a borderline miracle. I'm not had a chance to research in depth, but, I don't know if that was the last, but
okay.
I certainly can't remember ever since then. We've never been that good apart from that, have we?
Another shot from Burnley there. Fornals tried to lay off the pass with his chest, got intercepted, and played in. Who's had that shot?
Goodmanson, I think, wasn't it?
Goodmanson, that was it, yeah. Low shot, no, not really troubling of Fabianski, but we need to be a little bit careful there. Just, you know, a little less fancy in trying to pass him. Just seeing what's happening. Another free kick given for Lord knows what. Souček seems to be the culprit there, but didn't seem to be anything in that. Yeah. So it's a couple of times that Burnley have had shots from outside the box, which, if they're going to have shots, yeah, that's the place for them. But let's keep hold of the ball a bit better and not give them that opportunity.
Yeah, Burnley now 4 shots this afternoon. I'm struggling to think of any that have been inside the box. Actually, no, it's a good point, good spot there. I think they've all come from the perimeter of or outside the box so far. So West Ham defending solidly as things stand. Rio.
We haven't mentioned our cult hero today yet, but that's Dawson's just let the ball go out, despite a bit of a shove in the back from Woods. You can almost hear Dawson laughing as he goes down there. But he's been fairly solid at the back. And as I say, we're going to get another, what we've got, nearly another half where he hasn't kicked anyone's head in. So always a bonus.
And of course, West Ham's good fortune defensively coinciding with Dawson coming into the team. He's played a part in all 3 of those clean sheets prior to this afternoon. Of course, Rio pointing out there that, between the 23rd of November and the 21st of December, 1985, West Ham going 5 games without conceding a goal. If you know of any sequence since then when we've, kept 4 clean sheets in succession, do let us know. Possibly tempting fate, but there you go. We're just seeing Chris Wood go to the deck. Perhaps a little bit of revenge there, Pinky, from Craig Dawson.
I'd like to think so. And if it wasn't, he needs to get move on and do some. Wood, he's got, 6 goals in 5 games against us, something like that. If anyone's going to score for Burnley today, it's going to be him.
Oh, that's nothing.
Oh, hang on. Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh, I don't mind that. Nothing. That's just a good afternoon,
I'm not having that. That'd be a yellow card for Wood, who then kicks Dawson up in the air, who then lands. That's quite funny. He kicks Dawson up in the air, and that Dawson lands on his head, which he's already clutching because he's claiming he's been hit. And of course, he's landed on his head, which probably did hurt the second time. So, certainly right. No, the original clutching of head, absolutely disgusting. Trying to get a fellow professional book there. And then he has a kick out and comes up. Hilarious, really. But,
and what's Mr. Kavanagh giving here? Dawson pleading his innocence.
He looked like he was giving a drop ball. Yeah, he was a drop ball.
West Ham retrieving possession and Dawson playing it long into the channel, looking for Bowen, but a bit of an exercise that one. I don't think he's going to get on the end of that one. We're nearly at the end of the first half. Gnome, please let us know when you see how many minutes we've got added on. Should be coming very, very shortly, imminently, in fact, as we're in the final 30 seconds. Yeah, of course, we had that little break, didn't we, right at the start for that head injury. Pinky, let's sort of look at summarising the first half so far. West Ham on top. Look the better side, I think, really. What have you made of it so far?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we've played the football. I think it's fair to say we've got slightly better players in almost every department.
1 minute.
And we're generally being a little bit more positive. But for all that, this is the classic game where Burnley
throw into the box.
Burnley know, well, there's only 1 goal in it. They're in it. And Sean Dyche will be saying to his lads at half time, we can still get something here today if we squeeze them tight in for half an hour in the second half and try and nick a goal and a point right at the end. And it would be classic Burnley to do that. So for my money, we've absolutely got to come out in the second half and get a second goal.
Very much so.
Is a dangerous scoreline against Burnley.
Certainly is. We're playing the last few seconds. I would like to actually wind the clock back. There's a little challenge we saw on Bowen there as he surged into the box.
Yeah,
I get the feeling it's one of those that if that was a Liverpool side that were playing this game, that you would have seen a striker maybe hit the deck there, Gnome.
Yeah, definitely. I think he got clipped but didn't go down, and quite rightly so. The clip was enough to make him go down. He got blocked out. I'd like to see it again, and that's the half-time whistle. Just the 1 minute stoppage, which I thought maybe a little bit shy of, given that we had 2 stoppages for potential injuries, shall we politely call them that.
Yeah.
But the good people at Amazon haven't chosen to show us that little flick again. So, yeah, I would like to see that again. Yeah, it wasn't a penalty because obviously whatever contact there wasn't enough to make the player go down, and I'm quite happy that's not a penalty. But you know, it is one of those ones that it's Dyche's hobby horse in particular. If my player gets punished for trying to do the right thing, if he goes down, it's a penalty. Well, it shouldn't be. So.
Yeah, credit I think to Jared Bowen there for staying on his feet when, as we said, quite a lot of his fellow professionals would have chosen the opposite choice. It is, as Gnome has pointed out, 46 minutes and 14 seconds exactly after the the game kicked off. We are at half-time. West Ham United lead at the break by 1-0. The only goal of the half coming in the 9th minute from Michail Antonio, which was followed by yet another exquisite celebration, which we're putting down to the conditions at Stockport on Monday night. Rio, we said before the game that we weren't expecting an awful lot. You know, Burnley tend to be quite defensive and try and soak up pressure and counter. Pretty similar fashion to how West Ham have been playing under David Moyes. As what you've seen so far really sort of fulfilled your expectations?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously the early goal kind of opened the game up a little bit, but Burnley have regrouped. They're getting back working hard. But the thing is, I mean, we look the better side still. We're creating all the chances really. Three of Bowen, Fornals and Benrahma look quite bright. Benrahma, I think, is probably only his best game for us, to be honest. He's getting interesting positions in between the midfield and defence. Bowen, full of energy, and Fornals has got a decent pass on him. So we're showing the more attacking attempt. We've got the more creativity in our side. You know, I think in the half-time break, Sean Dyche is going to give an absolute rocket to his defence for conceding that goal. I think Tarkovsky is going to come in from some absolute abuse in the dressing room. But we're working hard, we're defending well, and we're showing more creativity on the pitch. We're a better side, but we know they're going to regroup and come at us a little bit. They haven't got much in the way of flair, but from set pieces and deep crosses, they could pose some problems. Sorry.
Very much so. As Pinky's also pointed out, you know, that lead's always a very, very dangerous one. If it can be dangerous to be winning a game of football. But so looking at the match stats, actually, it's very, very even. Possession-wise, West Ham 45% to Burnley's 55 shots. Burnley more shots than West Ham, interestingly, 6-5, 2 shots each on target. West Ham with 2 corners to Burnley's 1. West Ham having committed 7 fouls to Burnley's 6. So, I mean, that perhaps Pinky suggests it's, you know, a little bit closer than we might have thought it is. You know, I mean, it looks. I think we all feel West Ham have been relatively comfortable in this opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'd file that under damn lies and statistics. Some of that, because, you know, maybe it's the fact we're just a bit easier on the eye, but we looked playing all the football. I think whatever chances we've had have been better chances than what Burnley have had. The only sort of nervous moment was the Cresswell non-own goal, you know. And so you could say, well, had it stood, that would have been an error by us rather than positivity by them. Interesting post on Up the Clarets. Yeah, so I mean, and it's just a temple of doom on there at the minute. It's marvellous. So this post is from Ringo McCartney, and it goes: James Ward-Prowse, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Chris Bart-Williams, and Chris Wood offside. Yeah, because that's how they see Chris Wood these days, and they are being super harsh on their inability to score a goal. And dare I say it, we've been down this path ourselves, haven't we? Where a manager perhaps over-delivers with the squad of players he has, keeps a team in a division for a while, and then the supporters decide they want more. And dare I say it, Burnley, this could just be the season where the love affair between their support, their manager, the ownership, obviously the change there, maybe it all starts to unravel a bit. And I'm not saying they'll drop this season, but I'm pretty sure that this time next year, no later than that, Burnley will be in the mother of all relegation battles. Dyche won't be their manager, and then we'll see them drop a division. It's all starting to sound a little bit ugly up at Burnley at the minute, and that makes me very happy, I have to say. So long may that continue.
There you go. Pinky, clearly no fan of the Clarets, who are trading at 1-0 at the break here against West Ham. The goal coming from Michail Antonio. For those of you watching on Amazon Prime, you'll be seeing a rerun of that goal right now. And I guess, Gnome, that the commentary team will be picking apart the defensive duo of me and Tarkowski for losing their man there. And of course, as we pointed out, I think it was Brady, wasn't it, who kind of was the closest player to him, but just sort of ignored his run, really.
I'm just laughing because just for the sheer hell of it, because I haven't used it before on here, but I put the Amazon subtitles on, and I'm sure Upson, we all know what Upson meant, but he was referring to Antonio pulling off Tarkowski there. So I don't know if that's what he said, but that's what the subtitles said he said. So, yeah, I mean, you've got two central defenders there. You need one to make sure you basically, if you've got one main striker, you need to make sure one is goal side of him, really, and goal side and close. And neither of them did. I was just trying to see with that replay whether or not me actually got a little flick onto it. I don't think he did. But I think because Tarkowski was so relatively close to him, it's one of those ones where you think the guy's going to head the ball, and then so your body's all primed for it to not to play it. And of course, when he doesn't, it's almost gone past you before you can react. And of course, Brady was a bit like us, just a spectator, because Antonio said, "Thanks very much, I'll tap it in." So, yeah, I mean, the commentary team you mentioned, the subtitles are settled down now, and they're basically saying that Burnley have got problems. They don't look like scoring, and they need things like set pieces to deliver. And they're just focusing on the first corner that Burnley had from their right, our left, and it's just, I mean, you've got Fornals is the near post defender. Fornals gets a nice easy header away. You've got Tarkowski, you've got all these big lads that can get into the box there. Yeah. And you're picking out Fornals who ain't much taller than me. Which is, I mean, they're saying it's disappointing from Burnley. Well, I have to say I'm not disappointed.
No, very much so. No disappointment here whatsoever. Yeah. Do let us know in the YouTube chat what you think of the game so far. Anyone who's stood out for you. One person mentioned so far, one player mentioned is Pablo Fornals, who Gnome, of course, was just talking about, and also Saeed Ben Rama. Now, Rio, I think we were all collectively a little bit disappointed, weren't we, at earlier in the week, with his performance against Stockport. We felt perhaps sometimes he overran the ball when he could have played a simpler pass, tried to do too much perhaps. But he's looked really bright today, don't you? I think he's had a really, really good first half and probably been one of our better players so far.
Yeah, very much so. And to be honest, it's about time he stepped up to the mark.
Yeah.
Monday night, obviously, wasn't going to suit him with those conditions. It was never going to be easiest for that kind of midfielder, was it? Mm. But today, he's looked really bright. He's put a couple of really nice passes in. His part in our first goal was really, really good play. Great ball over the top. But he's done a couple of that times, He's cut in a couple of times.
Yeah.
He's found a couple of crossfield passes, which are really good. He's looked bright. And to be honest, even more importantly, he's looked intelligent when he's had the ball. He's not really wasted anything in terms of giving up possession cheaply, He's made use of the ball every single time so far.
Yeah, yes, he has. Definitely one of his better performances so far in a claret and blue shirt. The other player mentioned there, of course, Pablo Fornals. Pinky and I were speaking about him earlier in the half, saying that we're all fans, I think it's fair to say, of Pablo. But good to see him, getting an assist. It's been a few weeks since he's sort of been that effective really in the opposing half of the field.
Yeah, but I put that down to the injuries we've had.
Yeah.
Ever since Arthur Masuaku got injured, he's reverted to the covering Aaron Cresswell at left back.
Yeah.
And he's doing the work of two men. When Hilaire was here, he was doing the smiling of two men as well.
Yeah.
But what he does, his work rate in his industry, I think, is incredibly underrated by a lot of our fan base.
Hmm.
You know, he was bought as an attacking midfield player, and he's very rarely played as that for us. You know, he deserves to play more centrally and be that creative spark we have. But he's an out-and-out team player. He does every role that Moyes throws at him. The times this season we've seen him tracking back at like, virtually left back and left wing back.
Mm-hmm.
Today, slightly further forward than he has been the last few games because he's been afforded the opportunity to. And he makes telling passes. I mean, it was a great delivery in.
Yeah.
The only thing, I mean, he's one of my favourite players at the moment, if not my favourite player in the whole team.
Yeah.
The only thing missing from him, really, for me, is his finishing. But again, he wasn't bought as a striker, was he? He was bought as an attacking midfielder. And when he's pulling the strings and creating opportunities, you can kind of forgive that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly doing enough to impress David Moyes. I mean, another player who could sort of play a similar role, Manuel Lanzini, missing out again this afternoon with 4 nails in the team. Talking about the let's talk about the other end of the pitch. And we've mentioned him briefly, Pinky, in the first half there with those couple of little clashes with Chris Wood. It's our man, Craig Dawson, and once again, gone about his business very quietly, very effectively, and still, here we are, 3.5 games into, you know, his West Ham career, and he's still yet to see his goalkeeper pick the ball out of his own net. Well, he did it today, of course, but, you know, for a goal that stood. Doing really well for you?
Yeah, you got to say, I mean, you know, the value signing of the summer in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, centre backs, they work as pairs, and very often it is about getting two that can work together.
Mm-hmm.
And himself and Ogbonna seem to work very nicely together. They seem comfortable with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've mentioned it before, but what I like about the way David Moyes is putting this squad together is about he's got the youth in the part of the pitch where he needs it, and the experience in the part of the pitch where he needs it.
Very much so.
The difference between the two sides today is the fact I think we've got a bit more of a youthful, energetic midfield out on the pitch today than Burnley can put out there. And having an experienced player like Dawson in the back line and a very experienced player like Ogbonna in the back line against these Burnley attackers, I think the defenders are worth their weight in gold. They really are. So I'm happy with what we're seeing. The Dawson and Ogbonna as a pair. I think that's the key. You know, I've been very harsh on Issa Diop in recent weeks, and to me, that's about. I've got doubts about him as a defender anyway, but can we find someone who's comfortable to play with him? And I think the reason for his exclusion is as much that as anything else. So that, you know, that might suggest that Diop's future may lie at another club, where he could have some value and be a very good player there. But at this point in time, with Ogbonna playing as our first choice centre back, I think it's going to be a case of Dawson or Balbrainer. I don't see a way back into the team for Diop.
Diop, of course, is back on the bench today after being absent recently. But as Pinky says, no way back into the team for him at the moment. With Angelo Ogbonna having a great season. Let's be honest, he's been fantastic, and Craig Dawson pleasantly surprising us all so far by coming into the team. And let's be honest, doing a really good job. Credit where it's due. As Pinky says, I think it's a good shout. The value signing of the season so far. The players, Gnome, are just coming back out onto the pitch now for the second half. West Ham leading 1-0 at the break. Just a quick word about the centre of midfield. How do you feel that Rice and Souček have performed so far this summer? You said it's been a little bit more open than perhaps we expected because of that early goal for West Ham. But how do you think the two lads in the midfield, you know, Pinky talking about the energy and the youthfulness, do you think they've been doing a good job and showing that so far?
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah. Yeah, the usual interceptions, and Burnley have made a change now. McNeely's on. Just try to wait and find out who he's replacing. He's somebody, as I recall, he's on for Gudmundsson. It turns out, so I'll make that. He might change that dynamic in midfield a little bit because, from what I've seen of him, he actually is more of a player to try and take someone on. From what little I've seen of Burnley, I'll admit. But so we'll have to see whereabouts exactly he slots in as we're underway. Yeah, here we go. So Antonio gets the nod on, but nothing much happening there. So yeah, it remains to be seen. So that fresh legs, obviously, he's fairly young as well, McNeil. So we'll just have to see if that makes a difference.
We certainly will. As Gnome says, the second half is now underway. Burnley looking to make their first attack of the second half as the ball swung into the far post. That's some really good defending there from Kufal, even though it isn't cleared immediately. But West Ham sort of semi-clearing their lines. We'll keep an eye on that one, even though the ball is played out for throwing to West Ham. Player down in the box there, Rio. Again, we saw it at the start of the first half, didn't we? It's happened again. And it's not a foul at all, but it looks like Barnes is sort of the middle of a Rice and Souček sandwich, I think it is. Yeah, looking at that.
You're not going to call for best many times, despite how it being a bit of a unit, are you? They're two big lumps. Big Carp Chaser on the forum made a comment earlier on. For big lumps, these Burnley lads go down really easily. Proper anti-football. Boring doesn't do it justice. And yeah, they do. Sean Dyche builds these teams in the mould of himself. Big, strong, and functional. But they do go down like a sack of spuds, don't they?
Well, that was the thing with Barnes, who, as you say, there were two players next to him. Might have been a bit of contact between them, not a foul. He's immediately gone down and he's immediately clutched his head. Just not on, really. Nice ball played down the right-hand side, and Bones on side, acres of space. First touching, great, crosses over, and it's cleared. But good little move there from West Ham. Bones' touch took him closer to the byline than he perhaps wanted to be as he was looking up. And as Benrahma gives the ball away poorly there. Burnley have come out a little bit more with we said they had to come out with a bit more attacking intent. They seem to have done so this half. And we're already sort of a little bit on the back foot, but that's great work from Fornals. Brownhill was getting down there. Fornals just bided his time, just nicked the ball off him. Brilliant. Sorry, no. Actually, we'll stick with that. Yeah, Soufal didn't get on the end of it and didn't quite get on the end of it. Not the most paciest of people, Soufal, but we have a throw in deep in territory if you want to carry on, Greg.
Yeah, I just wanted to wind back a couple of minutes. Pinky pointed it out, actually. Was it Michail Antonio, Pinky, that little touch?
It was an absolutely $1 million touch.
Sublime.
Always been, we were moving forward at pace, and a really subtle touch just to send his teammate further forward at pace. In cricket they talk about the champagne moment. There was your money. There was your gate money right there today. A subtle, really good touch from Antonio. You think, moment of class there. Good for him.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, good shout. West Ham have a corner. Jared Bowen, I think, is about to deliver now from the right-hand side.
Yep. Well worked throw-in. Burnley went to sleep a little and just softish corner to give away. I think the referee's sorting out stuff going on in the middle. The corner hasn't been taken yet. What's happening here? Well, it can't be fireworks. Oh, Dawson's got a bit of a nosebleed. So, Note to Burnley supporters and Burnley players, he's got a nosebleed. He's actually bleeding, but he's not cutting his face. He's had to be ordered off to get treatment.
We have a genuine injury to Craig Dawson.
Comes in from Bowen, crowded out, balls out the edge of the box. Fornals puts the ball in. It's blocked. I think Cresswell and Fornals may have got in each other's way there. Oh, Ogbonna, lovely move by Ogbonna. He's beaten his guy out on the wing, and he's still got the ball. Mate gets it across as well. Ogbonna, the winger there. It's cleared by Burnley now. Take it away. It can break away. And Burnley's still on the ball now and got one over here at the moment. He's trying to beat himself. Ball played in, and that's
great stuff.
Great. That's Souček. And Souček and Bowen come away with the ball between them. Lose out again, but it's played in.
West Ham.
And Cresswell brings it away. Good defensive work there. Cresswell sort of looking, where's me pass? And it's a good pass to Fornals. Get out of the way, ref. And into Antonio. He's got acres of space to walk into. Plays it out wide to Bowen. Bowen square ball to Benrahma, who's looking for help there. He's crowded out, but it's out there. Soufal on the right. Cross comes in. Antonio target, but it's cleared off the line. Didn't have an awful lot of power, but West Ham still pressing forward. Another low cross put in, but it's blocked out for a throw-in. Good header from Antonio. It's back the way it came, but the defender did well. He was well placed to cover the keeper. He got behind his keeper there, and he just, wasn't the hardest of headers, and he was able to chest it down and clear it. But,
I think it's
West Ham.
Fair to say, Gnome, that Pope was beaten there. That was goal bound, that one, and it was me, I think, who made the save on the line, as we just see Benrahma hike the ball into the box again, but it's cleared out. West Ham enjoying a little bit of a purple patch here, Rio, right now.
Yeah, we're very much on the front foot. If it's going to be another goal in a minute, it's going to be from us. I'd just like to point out, over the last few years, Tarkowski's got a lot of plaudits and a lot of interest from other clubs, but I've always thought that Ben Mee has been the better defender. And had he been 2 or 3 years younger, he's been someone I've been looking at buying in the summer, not Tarkowski. Well, I always feel he's got an error in him. Ben Mee is always solid, and I've seen him do some actually last-ditch defending at times with his Burnley side, and he's been absolutely world-class at times. He's a very underrated defender, Ben Mee.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if the fact that Tarkowski is so highly rated is more than a little bit due to the fact that he's playing alongside a player like Mee.
Yeah, I think he's the sum of two parts, isn't he, Tarkowski?
Yeah.
I think without Ben Mee alongside him, he'd look particularly average player. We saw the mistake he made for our goal here, but I just always feel that of the two, he's the weakest link. Ben Mee doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves.
Yeah, very much so. I entirely agree. Gnome pointed it out, Pinky, just a few minutes ago. Angelo Ogbonna turning up as a surprise left winger there, and some sublime skills as he put a ball into the box there.
Only a surprise to those that don't watch him train day in, day out. I'm told he does that all the time in training. Just disappointed he didn't use his Cruyff turn, which is spectacular. Just picking up on a point, Graham, that you made at the back of the half-time chat.
Yeah.
About I'm assuming it was about Said Benrahma. I was away on other duties at the time, but about him not releasing the ball with a simple pass. And we saw a few minutes ago again another time where the simple pass would have sent us forward much quicker. And I think something for David Moyes and the coaching team to work on there is almost just counting your head side. You count to 2, you've got to let the ball go. If
well, he's got a cross in there, which in that corridor of uncertainty, nobody forward enough to take advantage of it. And in the end, Cresswell gives away the throw in on the other side. It's the decision making from him, as Pinky rightly points out, that at times can let him down. Although I've seen quite a decent number of little simple balls for him today. So he's on the ball now out on the left wing, and
there you go.
Playing it across again, simple ball to Cresswell, keeps the attack going. Cross comes in now, doesn't quite beat the defender, but Ogbonna comes in to keep the ball live, and well, Oggy gets back to get the header again, and it's a bit of head tennis going on now. But the other thing I would say from Benrahma is that there was a long ball played into the box, which it's Wood, isn't it? Tries to get on the end of. Brady's sort of on the right hand side, tries to get the cross in. That's a good defensive header. Good defense header, I think, from Souček there, and it's cleared away. And now we can break. Ball played, superb ball from Rice, played out to the wing for Antonio. Now then, what can Antonio do here? Tries to get a cross in, and it's blocked for another corner. I think there might have been a better shorter ball from Rice on there, but you know, we were on the attack from the result of it. So churlish for me to say that.
We'll come back to that in just a moment. The corner got a good attack, but I'm really impressed with the way West Ham are defending actually since half time. Burnley have looked a little bit more lively, as Rio pointed out, and just a little one there, just little things that sort of add up. Craig Dawson holding Craig Wood up when he was in a really strong position. That ball played over the top. Dawson using all his experience, just sitting there, not putting in a challenge, just staying there. But anyway, back to the corner, Gnome.
Corner in from Bowen, and well, not quite sure. There loads of players are falling down. The ball's out with Ogbonna, back to Cresswell out the edge of the box. Tries to get a cross in, and it's blocked for a corner.
It's one of those comedy injuries I think we've got there, Gnome. Yep,
it's so funny when even the players. He knows it's painful. He's got a smile on his face. It's the one where when it's not you, it's hilarious. And yeah, just looking at now.
Was it right in? Oh, right in the crackers. Right in the crackers. Right in the hot zone. That one. Oh, nasty. We've all felt one of those on a Sunday morning.
The last time that happened to me many years ago, and the referee came along and said, he said, where did it hit you? And I said, I looked at him and said, where do you think? And he said, oh, nothing you were going to use tonight then. And I looked up at him and I said, well, why is your missus away?
And he quote the young ones.
We had a lot of Aussies playing against us that day, and they collapsed laughing. And I think he decided I wasn't going to get booked for that after all. So,
yeah, I was just going to say, to quote the young ones, you missed both my legs. But
yeah.
West Ham have a throw in here. Aaron Cresswell on the left-hand side as Declan Rice looks to turn and get a cross in. Michael Antonio picks the ball up, looking to work his way into the box, and that's a foul just on the edge of the box. Almost a penalty, Pinky, but I think Chris Kavanagh's got that one right.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know he's taken Antonio's legs, no question, but it's just outside the box. And fair play to Mikel Antonio. Doesn't make more of it than it really is. You know, I mean, another 4-5 inches, and it's a pen, but you'd have to say the right call by the match official, no question about it.
So
it's probably, well, it's right on the left-hand side of the penalty box. I'm probably 6 yards upfield from the goal line. So we've got Cresswell and Rice are sort of both looking over this.
You've also watched Benrahma on the edge of the box here, interestingly lurking.
I was just thinking, would they pull it back to him? Rice drives it and it's over the bar. Interesting, that one. I mean, it was clearly outside the box. Earlier on, I was watching the Wolves West Brom game, and Oliver gave one as being inside the box, which after 3 or 4 looks, it still looked outside to me. But it seemed like an elephant in the room. Nobody was going to talk about it. They're saying, oh, it was definitely in the box. So, yeah, ambitious from Rice there. I mean, it's the sort of place you could easily do a right-hand driven shot into goal, but just a little too high.
I mean, for me, the obvious move there for us would be to have either Rice or Cresswell on the edge of the box.
Yeah,
pull back, the ball back to either of them.
Great work from Antonio here.
Yeah,
lovely run. Just the cross is just a bit too far. Lovely work from Antonio to cut in from the left and play the ball out. As Burnley now launch it long, trying to get on the attack.
Well played,
but again, it flounders on the rock that is Declan Rice. how many times do we see him do that? There's a player on the ball, it's bouncing, in comes the foot, not particularly pretty, takes it away. Quick throw now, Bowen's in the box. He's evaded the challenge, pulls it back to Ben. Ben Rama was actually being covered there by who's the fullback there, Lowton, of course. And but clever throw in, taken very quickly. Bowen gets into the box. Well, he pulled it back for Ben Rama, but Ben Rama was well covered. Still in the box now, and there's an offside there, so that all comes to an end.
What are we what are we thinking there, Rio? Bowen cut inside. There was an opportunity for a brief moment to pull the trigger. Do you think he should have been a little bit more selfish on that occasion?
I think he should. I mean, he squandered a couple of chances early in the season like that, but there are times you want him to be that bit selfish and go for goal, and that was the ample opportunity there. And I think it's a chance spurned, really. A couple of things as well.
Yeah.
These two sides are the only teams in the Premier League not to be awarded a penalty this season.
Really?
And I just think they've got one. There's one in it. There's one coming here. You know, two robust sets of the offenders. I think one could come. Also, after Ben Mee took one in the undercarriage, there's a very bit of strange camera work from Amazon Prime now, because it panned out to Eric Beater's groin afterwards, and a bit of a gratuitous close-up, which I thought was very unnecessary.
They chose the wrong set, did they, Rio?
Ball from Ben Rama, by the way. So we brought the ball out of defence. Bowen's again cutting in on. He's in the penalty area now. Chips a little ball in. Antonio chests it down and completely fluffs his lines. Slices it and it goes out for a throw in. Superb bit of play. Lovely ball from Ben Rama. Good decision making there. Bowen's got loads of space on that right hand side. Little chipped up ball. Antonio does the first bit perfectly, chests it down, takes a swing at the second, and it's got up for throwing. West Ham building on the attack again. Ball with Rice, who's looking more and more imperious as we go on.
I'm just going back to that opportunity. I'm sort of having visions of Carlton Cole at his finest there. Maybe a little bit unfair to Carlton, perhaps, but
praise doesn't come any higher than that.
Fabianski's just been taken out by Barnes. Ball was there to be got. To be fair, but Barnes was late on it. He's getting a yellow for that. Fabianski, they took a touch and Barnes came in to do the block, but he was late. And let's have a look at this again now. Slid in. He's taken Fabianski on the ankle rather than the ball. Yellow, maybe a little bit harsh. You'd probably be able to go at Barnes if he didn't go for that if you're a Burnley manager. Another change for the visitors just happening now. And it's Barnes who's just been booked. That's enough for and Vidra, I'm never sure how you pronounce his name, is coming on. So that was Barnes' last action, was to enter into the notebook.
63 minutes gone. West Ham still leading Burnley by that early Michael Antonio goal. Looking at that challenge, Pinky, I think Gnome's made a fair point there. It was certainly there for the taking. Fabianski, playing with fire a little bit there, perhaps.
Yeah, and
well, it's going to be a corner at West Ham, I think. It's corner at West Ham. Ben Rama did superbly well out on the left, and he's borne down on the fullback. Dubbed him, shimmy, got a lovely crossing. Pope palms it away. Fornals gets over the ball, definitely goal bound, but it's blocked. Eventually headed away very nervously for a corner. I'd suggest that wasn't Pope at his best there. Just sort of stuck a hand at it to push it away. Cresswell on the ball now, looking for the corner. So he's doing some sort of signal, and Antonio and the defender have a cuddle. Not a great corner. Doesn't beat the first man out to Fornals. Turns and plays the ball to Benrahma, who's out on the left. Gets a cross in, not a very good cross, but it causes a little bit of consternation. Antonio keeps it live. Ball played into Bowen, who tries to wiggle enough room for a shot. It's still coming back at Burnley at the moment, though. Nice ball in from Cresswell, but Burnley read it. Need a bit of width here, I think, though. Soufal plays the ball high down the line, taken down nicely by Souček. Souček's cross is deflected, and Pope eventually comes in. The most convincing it takes. And we're looking at Lanzini sort of making an entrance very shortly. So that move was probably predicted 10 minutes ago because he'll have had to get his kit on. So.
Yeah, lots happening in a couple of minutes there.
Everyone a winner.
Yeah, looks like Manuel Lanzini about to come on for West Ham. Some more good work from Said Benrahma, Pinky. Yeah. But do you think he's perhaps the player who's going to be replaced here?
I would think that likely. I mean, the thing that sort of concerned me a little bit, as much as I want the second goal, there was a couple of moments ago, where we had committed so many men forward.
Yeah.
That were the ball to break with Burnley, they'd have a terrific chance. I mean, maybe we're banking on the fact that Wood's a bit of a cart horse and so forth, but I just think we need to be a bit careful now in terms of our game management to make sure that you can actually win a game 1-0. It is allowed, and whilst a second goal is preferable, let's hang on to the points.
Very much so. We're still waiting for that substitution to take place because Burnley are enjoying a little spell of possession here out on the left. They've had the ball for about 45, 50 seconds now, possibly the longest they've had. I was just going to say, Rio, just before this, that there was that little sequence of play for 3 or 4 minutes, and every single ball that seemed to come out from Burnley, every second ball, West Ham seemed to win. And in a way, sort of looking back on what we've seen so far, that's kind of been sort of symptomatic of the way the game's gone. I think West Ham been very, very quick to pick up all those loose balls and second balls and really been first to an awful lot of them so far. Yeah,
and it's very un-West Ham-like again. It's something that we've excelled at today. Normally a side like Burnley, so quick onto the second ball and beating us to it, often muscling us out. But we've done incredibly well. We've defended absolutely resolutely today.
It is Benrahma coming off, I can confirm that. I think he's had a decent game today, Benrahma. I'm going to stick my head up and say it. Not perfect, but he's caused stuff to happen. And, some of the chances he's created. No, fair play. I think he's had a decent game. Gets a decent pat on the back there from Mr. Moyes. Lanzini on to, for the last, what have we got, 23 minutes or so.
Interesting change, that one, as we were saying, Rio. Benrahma's probably been just about the brightest spark, especially since half-time. Been exceptional. Perhaps he knew he was going to come off with, the last 20 or something to go, so was pushing himself a little bit better. But I just wonder if that might upset our, sort of forward play. Maybe you think Moyes is looking for something, Lanzini perhaps a little bit more used to, performing a slightly more defensive role when necessary, as we're seeing the ball come into the box, but West Ham clear their lines.
I think he'd be more likely to hang
Lanzini, and Fornals nearly onto something there, but just beaten. Interesting ball there. That's a good ball from Rice, and Bowen's on it. He's in on goal here. He's shot. Side netting. Fine ball from Rice, who's obviously looked up and seen Bowen there when nobody else has. And he was onside as well. Got goal side of the fullback. And,
it's one of those, isn't it, where I certainly fell for it, Rio. I saw the side net rippling and thought that was in the back of the net, but no, but very close, Jared Bowen.
Yeah, great ball over the top by Declan Rice. Bowen's collected it superbly well. It's just that lack of a finish, isn't it? Absolutely the right thing to do, go for goal. Just the wrong side. Unlucky. Really good move, West Ham.
Yeah, very, very good stuff. West Ham still looking really dangerous. I think we've had a good half so far, but as Pinky's pointed out, there's always that possibility when it is still just 1-0 of that sucker punch. And we were talking about it a minute ago, Pinky, that Fabianski, where he sort of almost got beaten to the ball by Barnes. Barnes eventually booked, and rightly so, for a late challenge, but sort of slightly lucky. And that's all it takes, isn't it? Just something like that, one moment of a lack of concentration, and that's 2 points dropped.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the reason we've seen Lanzini come on for Benrahma is that ought to give us a slightly better chance of hanging on to the ball. I think he's better at retaining possession than Benrahma.
Yeah.
I just want to comment on Declan Rice very briefly, if I may. I mean, the cracking ball he just sent, out to Gerard Bowen off his right peg. 4 or 5 minutes before that, he'd used his left peg to send another 40-odd pass forward to the same player. And we talk about modern footballers and they can't use both feet. Well, we see it week after week with Declan Rice. Left foot, right foot, off his head.
Yeah.
He really is a complete footballer. And is it any wonder that other clubs are looking at him the way they do? Because, the fact that he can get players into space off either peg and have the confidence to do it, that's something worth having in a football team.
Yeah, here, absolutely. Another good afternoon.
I would say we should mention Burnley just had a chance with me heading narrowly wide. Fabianski looked a little bit scrambly, but as we've just given away a corner there. But I don't think it was going in. I think he had it covered. It wasn't going in. It went wide. Dawson's just trying to head back to Fabianski, but there was a long clearance. Dawson's headed back in the general direction of Fabianski, but it's a little bit too wide for Fabianski to prevent the corner. So Burnley corner on their left, our right. They're going to be bringing on Rodriguez very shortly. As the corner comes in, that's going to be a kick through on the end of it, but it was a very wayward header. And Burnley now making the change. I don't know where you stand on these long-sleeved undershirts, Pinky, but Rodriguez is wearing one.
I'd fine him 2 weeks' wages. I mean,
Chris Wood won't be doing that goal scoring record against us. He's just come off, and Rodriguez, who they've been shepherding back from injury, much in the way as we've been doing with Antonio, I think, is on. So up front, they've got a completely new strike force now. Vidra and Rodriguez have both replaced Barnes and Wood.
I mean, this whole thing with these undershirts and all the rest of it. Look, you can have a short sleeve shirt or a long sleeve shirt. Make your choice. It's that simple. What do you need to have this introduction of a third kind of shirt? Utter nonsense. I mean, the wives must be spending all weekend, washing kit. Or maybe they do it themselves and they get in just before we have
into the book.
Where
Soucek's just got into the book.
Not quite sure what the challenge was. It seemed like a perfectly decent challenge by Soucek, but he's come across his man there, and he's entered the book, hasn't he? So
it's a harsh booking, that.
Yeah.
There's a foul. No crimes of the foul, but it was an attempt to get the ball. As Burnley try and build now. Chipped over. Antonio back doing some defensive work there. Another cross comes in from Burnley. Ray's got space on the right now. Chips across to the edge of the box. Got too much time to turn there. Burnley beginning to turn the screw there, but it's blocked out. I think Dawson's blocked that one for a corner. Another good block from Dawson. Burnley now sort of with Rodriguez and Vidra beginning to try and force something. Corner comes in swinger into the penalty area, into the 6-yard box rather, and it's played out. And
go on, son.
Now what can we do here? Lanzini's looking for some help. Plays it back in the end. Antonio rescues that. Wasn't a great ball, but rescues that. Oh, nearly. That might have been interesting. You might have seen Bowen put through there, but it's just cut out. We need to put our foot on the ball for a few minutes here now. Keep some possession.
I was just going to say, actually, Gnome, that this is a really crucial period for West Ham. Burnley, as you pointed out, 2 fresh strikers on the pitch. Look like they've got a bit of impetus and certainly, you know, the best spell I think for Burnley in the second half, at least so far. West Ham, as you say, need to get their foot in the ball and you know, just be careful for the next 3 or 4 minutes, don't we?
Yeah, it's a stat just come up with Burnley on 68% possession for the last 5 minutes, which I know there's lies down loads of statistics, but that doesn't surprise me because they've been pushing forward now, and they've got a lot more urgency than they've had for pretty much the rest of the game. Cross comes in, but Fabianski comes a fair distance, but it's only got his own players to challenge him there, and he's made the call and it's his. So yeah, settle down a bit, lads.
But you know, we said this at, you know, just at the start of the half. You know, Dyche would have sent his team out saying, you know, keep them, just keep in the game for the next half hour, and then have a go at the end. You know, and again, I said that our starting lineup and changes, what have you, rustly predictable. Well, Dyche, I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect from him. Stay within touching distance and then chuck everything at it. Because from his perspective, quarter of an hour to go. At the minute, he's getting nothing, so he can take a bit of a risk right now. I just wonder if
down the right. That's a promising position now. He's into the box, looking for. He pulls the ball back to the edge of the box to Bowen. Bowen tries to play, I think, Cresswell in out the left, but it takes a flick and it's through to Pope.
Yes, Pinky, you were. And would you see a shot of our new director on the TV?
Oh, that's who it is, isn't it?
Indeed, yes. And somebody sent me a wonderful, what I assume was a spoof Paddy Power advert yesterday, which apparently we can now watch West Ham United on Babe Station. They're saying there's a new deal being struck. Which,
whatever that is, yeah.
Indeed, yes. Channel 532, I think, Gnome, if you're interested.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, what was it?
Indeed. Yeah.
West Ham United 1, Burnley 0. We are in the 77th minute. West Ham clinging on a bit for the last few minutes, but well worth that slender lead so far on given what we've seen. But Burnley beginning to, as Gnome said, turn the screw and looking a lot more dangerous since they bought on Vidra and Rodriguez. West Ham's only change so far being that of Manuel Lanzini replacing Said Benrahma, who had been excellent, I think it's fair to say, very much so in the second half, if not the first two. West Ham sort of gone off the boil a little bit since that change happened in the 67th minute, some 10 minutes ago. But yeah, some defending to do as we see a cross swung in, and Craig Dawson once again a fantastic defensive header with the ball slung into the 6-yard box. Really, really good header there, known from Dawson.
Marvellous. It's as good a defensive header you'll see from anyone in the league this season.
Yeah.
It was very, very dangerous cross, and he tracked his man, and it was one of those ones where you're sort of facing towards goal and you still managed to put it away. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I want to see us. I want to see us play a bit more in their half, and it's not happening at the moment.
No, here's an opportunity. As Antonio bursts away. No, he's going to play advantage there.
Well, the referee was going to blow there, but he's played on. Full Nails has got the advantage. I think there might be a yellow card coming out when the play stopped, because it was a cynical lunge at Antonio to stop the run. But West Ham had the advantage, though. Burnley are all back now, and we're just keeping possession nicely. And Cresswell out left. And he's played it back to the.
You say Burnley are all black now? I can assure you, Burnley are all white. Yeah, and there's a whole different story in there, perhaps. But you know, we're looking at something that I think would make a lot of our supporters very, very nervous with our manager. 20 minutes to go, he changes it, which is, you know, I'm quite happy with it. But I think a lot of our supporters will say the moment he took Benrahma off, we appear to have handed the initiative to Burnley. And for my money, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think it's our change that's done it, but I think that's the interpretation a lot of people will put on this. And I think when we look at the match thread later, there'll be an awful lot of comments pertaining to that.
Well, let's do that right now. So, we're just seeing Fabianski almost caught out by a cross from the left there that he's tipped away. Danger's not averted yet.
And it
is now. No?
Well, did that come off the bar? I was quite sure what was happening. It was a cross from the left. Bowen was undone there by number 11. McNeil, who played the ball across, and I think it's come back off the bar, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure that was a cross rather than a shot. That
had shades of Paul Konchesky all over it. That one, I think.
Indeed, yeah. I don't know why they got a corner there, but they got one. We seem to have cleared it, and Lanzini's fouled, and we got a free kick. Yeah, I mean, Fabianski sort of had it covered, and if it dropped in under, I think Fabianski would have made the save, but it seemed to brush the crossbar, and when the shot came, it went. It was adjudged to have flicked somebody, and hence the corner. But we're about to make another change, and
as predicted.
Yeah. So Yarmolenko, and who I was just trying to think who might come off for him. Maybe Antonio, but I wouldn't. Let's put it that way.
Bowen. I think it will be Bowen, but
I think Bowen's the standard one. I've just got a funny feeling he might. I think Bowen got undone there for pace by McNeil, but then Yarmolenko's defensive duties are not all that great. So it's a loose ball there, gives Antonio no chance, and Burnley can come on the attack again. And Bonner stepped out there, and grateful for the cover from Dawson, I think there.
West Ham struggling.
Now then, what can Antonio do here? He's on the ball. He's still got the ball, and
go on.
Played the ball left to Lanzini. Plays it square. Fornals out wide is Bowen. Bowen delayed the shot again, cut in, and between Peters and Tarkovsky, I think they managed to get a block in. Peters is in quite some pain for that. But that was promising for West Ham. That could have killed the game off.
I think he's just
Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko, it is Bowen. Yeah, okay. No, I just had a horrible thought that he might take Antonio off. And Antonio, as we just saw, is still capable of wreaking havoc there just by his presence. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest of wins of the ball there, but he got himself in between the two defenders and nearly set us up to score. So Bowen's gone off behind the goal, as you are encouraged to do so these days. He's trudging his long, lonely way back up the touchline in a second. So we've got Cresswell out on the right-hand side, who's going to presumably take an in-swinger.
Go on, Thomas.
In comes the corner. It finally comes to Rice to head in, but it's a tame header, and Pope clears. Now, I don't think... Bonner's now been booked. What? How far away was he? Had his back to it. It's one of those ones where, if you raise a foot to block a clearance from a goalkeeper, it inevitably becomes a yellow card. Well, he's jumped up at it, but he's 2-3 yards away from him. And if you can't jump the blocker thing, then that's ludicrous. I can see if he's put it right up in front of him, 2 foot away, but that's yards away.
Yeah, file undertaking one for the team, I think, on that occasion. And we were talking a few minutes ago, and Rio Pinky pointed out the fact that a lot of people might, if this is to sort of go awry for West Ham, and it's by no means a certain victory yet, that decision to take off Ben Rama in the 67th minute and replace him for Manuel Lanzini might be seen as kind of the catalyst for Burnley's comeback. What are you seeing on the match thread so far? Is there any evidence of that happening?
Yeah, there's quite a few comments regarding that. E17 put Ben Rama was at the centre of everything good for us in the first 60. If we can keep him that level of effort for the next few games, be a bonus. Gaz WHU66 put, gutted if we don't take all 3 points from this. Thought Ben Rama was having a great game. Half sub for me, and he doesn't look happy either. E17. Lanzini comes on Sunday, Burnley are back in it. The bloke offers nothing anymore. So it looks like everyone's in agreement that it's changed the dynamic of this game, and it's put us under the cosh a little bit. Not many people happy with the decision to take Ben Rama off now.
Okay.
I've got to be honest.
It's scrambling away in the box there, but we've got a clearance there again. Burnley getting a little bit closer. Lots of loose balls in the box there that we're ending up having to scramble away. But Lanzini's doing well here. He's holding up Tarkowski. And Tarkowski's finally beaten him, but to put Burnley on the front foot again. But it was a little bit scratchy in the box there.
Yeah, well, let's come back to that if anything happens. Pinky, you were just jumping in there.
I don't think it was Moyes' decision that has handed the initiative to Burnley.
Yeah,
I think it's Dyche's decisions that have handed the initiative to Burnley, and I think there's a crucial distinction there. I think there's an element of coincidence that when Benrahma went off, we appear to be on the back foot since, but Dyche has made some changes himself, and I think it's his changes that have proved the more effective than anything David Moyes has done. And I just thought, on our website, our lads will be caning Moyes, I suspect, because of Benrahma, but I think I'd actually give Sean Dyche a bit of credit that his game plan that clearly he's had in his locker all afternoon, he's waited to introduce it, and when he has, it's worked, and it has changed the game.
Yeah, and almost paying dividends there with a low cross into the near post, which Rodriguez just got on the end of, and inches wide of our near post, Gnome.
Yeah, Ogbonna, it was one of those ones where Ogbonna slid across and put a park clearance, and it came back up off Ogbonna and hit Rodriguez rather than before Rodriguez could react, and it went a foot wide. Could have gone pretty much anywhere, but testing times at the moment. We're defending fairly well, but we only need one of those to flukily go against us as Yarmolenko gives away a free kick pointlessly out on the right-hand side. But yeah, I mean, one of those ones. Well, there's a debate to be happened as Amazon have announced Antonio the goal scorer as man of the match.
That seems very lazy to me, Gnome.
Yeah, a goal scorer. I mean, Souček, great defensive header, but again, Burnley come back at us. Shot from the edge of the box. It's blocked on the edge of the box by Dawson again, I think. Brady now trying to work some space. There's some very good hard work going from West Ham to deny that space, but again, great header there. And Cresswell plays the ball down to Antonio. Lovely layoff. Declan Rice evades a potential leg breaker. Lovely ball now then. What can we do here? As Yarmolenko's in the box.
Brilliant.
Yarmolenko could have finished it off there. Rice was superb there.
Yeah.
Antonio's layoff was good. Rice just evaded the challenge, and it was a lovely ball. Yarmolenko's bearing down on goal, bearing down. He takes himself wide.
Do you know what? Actually, no. I'm gonna give loads of credit there to Ben Mee, because I think he was aware of Antonio behind him, and he positioned himself perfectly, so Yarmolenko couldn't lay that ball across. I think that's fantastic.
It was good defending. Fair play. Yeah. Yarmolenko's touch was a little bit wayward, I will say, but it was good defending to get the block in. Still, we got the corner, so Cresswell, is getting himself ready for the corner. Swung inwards. Pope comes, punches away, and it's all volleyed straight back in by Yarmolenko, who is cleared off the line and then cleared again. Hasn't gone for a throw in, and West Ham now bring it back, or trying to. Fornells didn't know where to go there. It didn't have anywhere to go, and it's eventually gone out for a Burnley throw in. Again, although we've been under the cosh a little bit, well, quite a lot really, I suppose, the last 10, 15 minutes, we've had opportunities, and good looking opportunities on the break there. We're still getting a lot of room on the break on our right, Burnley's left, and well, see if we can capitalise that if we get any more.
Yeah, we're pretty much into the last final minute of the match now. It's West Ham hanging on to this very, very slender lead, fully deserved, of course. But I'm actually looking down my notes here, gentlemen, and it's been a really, really entertaining last 20 minutes so far. Lots of opportunities at either end of the pitch, but Pinky, it looks like, well, you know, it's a bit early to say, but we're almost there. There's not going to be an awful lot of time added on, one would think. And West Ham almost over the line, but living a little bit dangerously the last few minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big difference for me is when McNeil came on for Burnley. I think he's proven to be one of their better players on the day. You know, it's always difficult. You're a goal up. Do you stick or twist? And the overwhelming majority of our supporters would always say go for the second goal. But there does come a point where in the professional game, the managers will say, now we've got to show the resilience to defend as well as attack. We might have gone a bit early with that today in terms of decision, but I think we've always looked more likely to get 2 goals than Burnley have 1, in my opinion. So I'm not at all too displeased. I think you've been a bit harsh on Amazon, I think, if I may say so, in terms of their selection of man of the match.
Okay.
I wouldn't give it to Antonio for the goal. I'd give it for his all-round contribution to today's effort.
Yeah.
You know, for my money, there's a few candidates. Fornals on the ball would be one of them, for sure. He'd certainly be in there. But I think what I'd say today is forget the goal, but without Antonio on the pitch, we wouldn't have won this today. And that's how I'm sort of measuring his contribution today.
Yeah, it's a fair point. He's certainly been involved in an awful lot of our better attacks, and obviously, you know, most importantly, scored the goal that at the moment, with the first of 4 minutes of additional time played, looks like it could be enough to secure all 3 points. But still a little bit of defending for West Ham to do here as Burnley look to break into the box. They have done, but fortunately for the Hammers, that's the substitute Vidra just falling over himself in the box, falling over his feet.
He couldn't get it out of his legs, thankfully, because it was looking as if he might wriggle through there. As Burnley again are now desperately seeking out. What have we got? 2.5 minutes left or so. Cross comes in again, blocked out there by I think that was Souček, and Fornals runs to make sure the ball ends up back with Pope, and Antonio goes all the way up again to try and keep the Burnley defence on it. It's launched forward high, and Cresswell heads out for a throw in.
Yeah, very, very close to the finish now. Just a shade over 2 minutes of those 4 extra minutes to go. West Ham clinging on. It's fair to say, I think, to this very slender 1-0 lead. It's been quite an absorbing contest, I think, this second half. I think it's been a lot livelier than we might have predicted, as another ball is swung into the box, and West Ham kind of switching off as you know it goes to the far post, and Peters almost retrieving it, but unable to, and West Ham have a goal kick, which I'm sure will take quite a bit of time to actually take. Rio, looking back now, I mean, as I said, it's been quite an entertaining and absorbing second half really so far, but both sides having opportunities, but we're thinking back and just wondering if either goalkeepers had a save of note to make, really.
They've not had a lot of work to do, have they? It's been mostly dealing with crosses and corners. No one's really been tested, which is, we said this beforehand, there'd be very few goals in this. And I think that's evident by the amount of shots on target. I mean, I've not seen the stat yet, but I can't remember one at all, to be honest.
Well, that's Antonio doing what Antonio does. Ball played long, and I think it was Tarkowski was on the ball, and he's just forced Tarkowski to play for a throw-in, which will just deep. We've now got 50 seconds left, so that will just it's deep in Burnley territory. Eat into a few more seconds as the ball's in the box, and well, that was Lanzini basically cut across and then had a shot from the edge of the box, which would obviously have sealed it. But good footwork, but the shot's wayward. Didn't test Pope at all.
No, I think lucky there, West Ham.
The goalkeepers not been. I think we were saying the goalkeepers have not been tested, but what I would say is that, particularly from now Rice is on the ball, plays it out left to Fornals. He loses it, which is not something you want to do. Burnley, the 4 minutes are up, and I think that's the whistle. Yeah, 1-0 West Ham. Final score. What I was going to say is that although the goalkeepers have not been tested, there's been some sterling defending from both sides, a bit in front of them. Some of the blocking that's been going on has been superb. As Antonio's on the floor looking knackered. That's well he might, 'cause he's run his legs off.
Yeah, he certainly has. Gnome. It's as you said, that's the final whistle. It's finished. West Ham United 1, Burnley 0. West Ham up into the top 8 in the Premier League, and Rio have recorded a 4th consecutive clean sheet. One for the record books there, as Rio said earlier in the match. We can't find one since 1985, when West Ham kept that many clean consecutive sheets. That being a 5-game run between November and December 1985 in that incredible season, the boys of '86, of course. Final score here: West Ham 1, Burnley 0. The only goal of the game coming in the 9th minute from Michail Antonio, the TV broadcaster's man of the match. He's coming in at the far post to convert a cross from Pablo Fornals that gives West Ham all 3 points in a very, very hard-fought contest. Not particularly entertaining for most parts, although lots of half chances coming in the last 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to turn to the team now for their instant response to what we've seen over the course of the last 94 minutes. Pinky, let's begin with you, sir, if we can. West Ham 1. Burnley 0. West Ham back up into the top 8 of the Premier League.
A good result. I mean, let's not mince our words here. Not many teams roll over Sean Dyche teams. And you'll always have to battle for whatever you get against Burnley, and we did that today. I thought we also showed the better quality of the two sides, and we did enough hard work, enough intelligent play to actually secure the points. Impressive at the back. I think, Craig Dawson again, I think he made one error today, which was one slightly misdirected header. And Angelo Ogbonna, again, very, very tidy, and even sufficiently confident to do a little bit in the opposition's half as well. So, we're playing okay, and today is a game that, we all said at the start, there's a goal in it, really. It was always going to be a battle. We've come out on top, and what I can tell you is that the Burnley supporters, the love affair with Dyche is over. They really are getting stuck into him in terms of, we don't start playing to the last quarter of an hour. We're not attack-minded enough. All those danger signs that a club that is punching miles above its weight in the top flight. Remember where you heard it first. Within the year, Burnley will be heading towards the Championship. No question. Because there they are now, 17th spot, and their supporters think they should be playing, total football. I don't think so. But good for us today. A win. Ben Rama played well. I thought Rice did what Rice does, as does Souček. We've got quite a tidy little team now. We are short a striker in the squad, for sure. But today, Antonio did enough to get the goal and enough to make sure that we held onto the ball up the pitch. And that was something that Sebastian Heller was simply incapable of. So I'll take the win and be grateful for it.
Thank you, Pinky. Of course, that win, as I said, taking West Ham up into 8th, where we are now just 3 points off of the 4th place, which is tremendous, really, going into the new year. Credit to David Moyes and everyone in his limited size squad, as we pointed out several times in recent weeks and months. Pinky, man of the match shout for you. Would you go along with Michail Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, for me, not for the goal. I mean, goals are always important, obviously, but I thought his all-round play. He does things for us that Seb Haller couldn't. And the challenge for David Moyes is finding another Michail Antonio on a shoestring, because I think the chairman's making it even more obvious than usual. There isn't any money to spend unless he fancies a player, in which case he suddenly finds a lot of money. But we're looking at this now. We're halfway through the transfer window, And what we're looking at is, well, it's Antonio or nobody, in the starting lineup. And is that really where the team that's sitting 8th in the Premier League should be? Does any other manager have that kind of restricted option? So today, Antonio, for me, work rate, contribution to the team, yeah, I'd give him man of the match. Just.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you. Rio, West Ham 1, Burnley 0, another 3 points for the Hammers. What's your initial assessment of what you've seen there in the last 94 minutes?
It wasn't pretty at times, especially that last 25 minutes where we failed to keep hold of the ball in the key areas when we did get the chance, The substitutions from either side changed the dynamics of the game. It made heavy weather at the end, but how many times over the last few years have we seen Sean Dyche's team grind out results and get the victory against us and nullified us where we couldn't score? The early goal obviously counted hugely, and it allowed a bit more space in the game, which you normally wouldn't get. And when that style of play was being implemented by both sides, we were by far the better side. It's a ground out win. It's a game that quite often we would have lost and rolled over against a side like that. But it's just going to show that we haven't got that soft underbelly anymore. We've got a bit of resoluteness about us. We've got a work rate and a desire to win, which we haven't seen very often in West Ham sides down the years. As I said, it's not exactly pretty at times, but with a threadbare squad, we're 8th from the table. And is it 18 games in? It's great to see, isn't it? It's not pretty, but at the moment it's effective. And I'm sure with a little bit of investment, please, and a bit of good fortune, a bit more style will come into our play. But at the moment, Moyes is doing an absolutely fantastic job with the tools at his disposal. We're getting a tune out of some really good players here. The underrated Craig Dawson was written off before a ball was kicked this season.
Yeah.
A midfield partnership of Rice and Chusek, which doesn't offer a lot in terms of attacking flair at times, but does a resolute job. Mikel Antonio, when he's in the side, he makes a huge difference. He allows the three behind him to play a bit more. He holds the ball up. He brings them into play. And we're a work in progress. I think, as I said, if we can get a bit more investment, that coaching setup can afford to let this team flourish in the future. We need to kind of augment certain key areas. Defence needs to do a little bit of work still, particularly left back, because obviously Aaron's not got long left in him. The spine of our team is aging a little bit. But if we can support this, we're a team on the up. We're doing well on a shoestring budget with very few players.
Okay, excellent. Good stuff. Thank you. Gnome is, I presume, listening to Mikel Antonio's comments.
Come back to me.
So we'll come back to Gnome in just a minute. But what I did want to ask, Rio, is that we had a split forum, didn't we, after that game against Everton? Went up there a good 3 points. Some people really unhappy about the fashion, the style of West Ham's football. And I just wonder whether, having seen a pretty similar sort of game this afternoon against a Burnley side who, let's be honest, aren't one of the best in the Premier League, and whether or not we're likely to see a little bit of a reoccurrence of that thread, or that re-emerging, in the next day or two. What do you think about that?
Personally, I hope I don't see that thread re-emerge for personal reasons. But there's a couple of comments being made already on the match thread. Bobby Moore-Lowergill has put, "So bored as I have been for many of our games this season. Yes, 3 points are great. However, I am really bored of watching us. So glad I don't have to track across Olympic Park every weekend and watch this dross. 3 points are great, but at what cost?" Muffet from Space has put, "Professionals' performance was, and nice to see get 3 points off third place. Let's not forget we're owned by a punch of absolute bleep." People are still not happy with the substance. So with the style, the substance is there, but the style still isn't pleasing to some people. But I said, it's a work in progress. We've got very little at our disposal in terms of squad investment, playing staff, you know. Last season, under Pellegrini, when we had all the money invested and the flair on the pitch, we were soft. We couldn't have ground out a performance like that, you know. You've got to balance it out, you know. At the moment, we can't play the full champagne football at the time. We can do it. We saw spells of this game today where we could flourish in an attacking sense. But we need that defensive resoluteness to build upon, and we're showing that. And I'm quite glad we are.
Is this perhaps, Rio, a little bit of Kirbishley syndrome creeping back into the fan base of, you know, we're comfortably mid-table now. We're not. I don't think, you know, we'd have to have an astonishing collapse, wouldn't we, for relegation to be an issue this season. A fan sort of perhaps getting, you know, maybe expecting a little bit too much.
I think people look at our position in the table and expect us to be playing football of a style that we used to see in the 80s and the 70s, with players of attacking flair, because we have got some very stylish footballers in our side. The likes of Ben Rama can light up a game. Lanzini, when he's on form and fit, he can potentially light up a game. Pablo Fornals is not only capable of industrial running and work rate for the team, but his ability on the ball is second to none at times. You know, we have the players at our disposal to be able to create an attack at will and cause teams a lot of problems. But the way we set up, it's not particularly pretty, but it's effective. And I think people are not. I think it's that the whole Sky generation thing, isn't it? You know, you want instant success. You see teams like Manchester City and Liverpool come out and attack teams at will. But people forget they're augmented by years of Champions League's money. That's without the ownership throwing billions of pounds at them. You know, we're not at that position. We're not fortunate to be in that situation where our owners, and the manager in charge can get a tune out of them kind of players. We haven't. We've got a team which, if it played for Manchester City, their support would probably laugh and say, "What the hell we got here?" But we're not far behind them. You know?
Well,
and we're
we're certainly not far behind them as far as the table is concerned. As I said, you know, West Ham just 3 points off of fourth place at the moment, but still clearly, as Rio pointing out, a lot of supporters still unhappy with the standard of football that they're seeing. Hence, really, why I sort of brought the Kirbishley issue, you know, up, sort of referring to that period when we seemed to sit in mid-table for months and months on end, and people sort of complained of being utterly bored of not having a relegation battle, you know, to fight, or you know, a European challenge. Rio, you were going to come back in there, I think.
Yeah, just go back to the Kirbishley thing.
Yeah.
After it, when he was dismissed, we just won 2 games 4-0 on the bounce.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird thing. I mean, I didn't enjoy the football under Adam Kirbishley. In hindsight, probably I was a little bit harsh. But when the trigger did come, it was after 2-0, 4-0 victories on the bounce. And, you know, people were delighted when he got the sack.
Yes. A long time ago, it seems now, of course. I'm trying to think who the catalyst was. It George McCartney's departure that ultimately made him decide to walk? I think it was McCartney, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But and of course we just stand to.
What a hill to die on, George McCartney. You know, I mean, you know, you can see Coman walking out of the Camp Nou if Messi's sold. You know, you can see that's a reason why you might want to quit. George McCartney. Yeah, there you go. Your managerial career ends because you've taken a stand on George McCartney.
And it did, didn't it? That was his last job in management. Yeah, quite a lucrative career in punditry since. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Pinky. That was it. Never employed again. Never employed in gainful management. Rio, before I go over to Gnome, who's bursting with things to say about the game, and if you can remember what Michael Antonio had to say, who's your man of the match, buddy?
Me.
Yeah, I know. they always say that Sky picked Amazon picked the lazy choice in Mikel Antonio.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the lazier one, Declan Rice, who again puts in a performance of just sheer class at either end of the pitch.
Come back to me later. Moyes is on.
We're going to defer Gnome's thoughts on the match and Mikel Antonio and now the manager David Moyes, because he's speaking to the Amazon Prime team right now. So, Gnome, I hope you're keeping notes because you've got lots to comment on briefly. Pinky, let me come back to you really on that issue. You know, as we said, a lot of people still unhappy, even though West Ham, we're in with a really good shout of Europe. Let's be honest, and who knows? We're on the cusp of the Champions League places. I mean, I don't think any of us realistically think that we're going to be challenging for those positions come the end of the season. But you never know. It is, as we've said all along, a very, very strange season. But what's your view on that whole issue of the standard of football, the quality of football? You know, the aesthetic side of what we're seeing out there. It's perfunctory. The points are being added. We're climbing the table still. But as Rio said, a lot of people, Bobby Moore, lower, Gurley, I think it was, who said she was still quite unhappy with what she's seeing. Bored of watching us, I think was the quote that Rio read out. Do you go along with that, or do you think that's a little bit harsh on Moyes?
I think it's a bit harsh. I think there's an element of some people have tarred David Moyes with the Allardyce brush from day one, and they don't want to shift their position. But I think what we saw today was a clear distinction between two teams. Sean Dyche today set up to try and keep it tight, not go forward, and with a view to hopefully nicking something at the end. I don't think that's what David Moyes did today. So I think I could see the difference between the two approaches from the two different managers today. I think where we have got an issue, and I touched on it in the commentary, is that inability of maybe we need more passing from Rice or Souček, and in particular Souček. Rice had touched on that, you know, he's got a good left and right foot. But Souček, we haven't got the passing ability from. And I think as much as anything, that kind of stifles us a little bit. We touched earlier on Ben Rama's decision making, and where he perhaps should have released the ball a bit quicker on one or two occasions. So I don't think you can necessarily pin this on the manager, is the point I'm making. You know, he's got a limited squad. He's done it with relatively limited funds. You know, our starting 11 today is about £100 million, which in today's market doesn't get you very much. You know, when Man United have done 75 million quid on Harry Maguire. Yeah. So to have that kind of budget restraint and actually depth of squad restraint, you're not going to be playing champagne football. I mean, we need to get real here. We have got one striker at the club, and he's a make-do and mend striker. What exactly are people expecting David Moyes to do with the players available that he's not? I'd like to know that, because, you know, what's he supposed to be doing that he's not with the players that he's got? Maybe we should start a thread of it. What should he do that he isn't with the players available? That's the key thing that the supporters, I think, need to bear in mind here. And for that, we keep going back to the chairman and the previous manager. We've just taken a massive financial hit on Seb Haller, you know, because we had to shift him ultimately. You know, are we ever going to get any money back from Yarmolenko? I would doubt it when he steps out. You know, Fornall's the one player that Pellegrini signed that's probably appreciating in value. Thankfully. But you know, David Moyes is doing okay here. The football, it's okay. You know, you take it for what it is, based on who he's got and what he's got. And all I'll say, if people think we're bad to watch now, they'd better pray we don't sell Declan Rice anytime soon. Because would you trust the chairman to replace him with better quality players? I wouldn't.
I'm not sure it would be possible.
We might be looking back on this part of this season as if only we could be as good as we were then, you know, in the not too distant future. So I think people are being a touch harsh That's just a view.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I raised the Kirbishley comparison. You know, the fact that we were going along quite nicely that season, but a lot of people were seemingly unhappy with. You know, I think we always end a season with some kind of drama, don't we? Generally at West Ham, whether it's a relegation battle or a European, it's rare, isn't it, that we go into the last half a dozen games and there's nothing to play for. So I don't know if that comes into.
We're on track for 60 points this season.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and when was the last time at this stage of the season we had a positive goal difference?
Yeah.
When was the last time at this stage of a season, assuming Manchester United beat Liverpool tomorrow, with the same number of games played, will be 4 points behind last season's champions? I just think sometimes that I'd love to have a Bruno Fernandes in our starting lineup. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Yeah. Sure, I'd love to be watching, a front three like Liverpool can put on the field every single week. Who wouldn't? But we haven't got the money. And I think what David Moyes has done here is build a competitive team with what he's got. And it's a case of sometimes you've got to compete with what you've got.
Yeah.
Dream about what you haven't got. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. Well, I'm sure it's a conversation that will run and run. That's that balance between points and performance. But as we can see, it's already the KUMB.com forum and the match thread in particular. It's already an issue, as Rio has pointed out. I'm going to come to Gnome now, who's been waiting very patiently for his opportunity to offer his thoughts and reflections on the game that passed this afternoon. West Ham, of course, beating Burnley 1-0 to rise to 8th in the Premier League and just 3 points away from that Champions League 4th place. Gnome has also been keeping an eye on what Michail Antonio had to say, the match winner, and also what David Moyes has had to say. Quite a lengthy interview there from David Moyes. But Gnome, let's begin by looking at your thoughts on what you saw this afternoon. So let's have a begin this section by your review of what you saw today.
I thought we were worth the win. I thought we were the better side. The kitchen sink was thrown at us by Burnley last 20 minutes or so. Yeah, but when you look at it, we didn't fold, and I think Pinky may have referred to this earlier on. Obviously, I've been watching other stuff for the last few minutes, but the fact is that Fabianski, I don't think really had a proper save that tested him to make.
Yeah,
that's a testament to the fact, partly that Burnley were a little bit one-dimensional in the way they were playing. They were just kind of hoiking it in. Yeah, we were inviting the pressure on because we're defending deep. But truth is that last year or so, we've got better at dealing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That would have been the sort of game that would have caved in and lost points on last year. But Bonner and Dawson are beginnings there of a fine partnership.
Yeah.
What I would say is that when we did count, if you look at the way we counted, it wasn't just, although Antonio was obviously the outball for a lot of what we did, and he did very well there. There were a number of occasions where Declan Rice would intercept both halves, not just when we were under the cosh, and play that diagonal ball over to our right.
Yeah.
Where we had Bowen, we had Leif Yarmolenko. And that sort of more incisive and decent pass. There was one glorious pass that was 30, 40 yards in the air. And I think it was to Bowen where Bowen cut in and I think he delayed the shot in the end. But and it's very easy. We've said a lot of, when I was listening earlier on, I've heard a lot of Souček and Rice is not the most creative of midfields. Well, I think you're doing Declan in particular a bit of a disservice there because yes, the game is based on breaking up those attacks and he does that superbly, but he also uses the ball very, very well. And a lot of what happens when we play on the counter comes from an initial ball, be it the 40-yard perler that we're just talking about, or maybe just a short one, 5-6 yards, but somebody can run onto. And yeah, we're worth the 3 points. I mean, I'm sure Dyche will come on later and say that we're not. What did Antonio and Moyes have to say about it? Well, I've got a bit of exclusive news that that anybody been watching Amazon will probably know already, but I can explain the goal celebration. So anybody's been watching us rather than Amazon, he was playing some sort of video game with Declan Rice during the week, and the backstroke thing was the forfeit that the loser of the video game had to do if they scored.
Okay.
So there you go. That was the result of a bet he had with Declan Rice. So very happy to be scoring. Very happy to be back. That was his 400th career professional match, by the way. So to score in it, obviously a nice landmark. David Moyes, the interview was lengthy, although there were times when it was, for obvious reasons, as we'll find out in a second, that it was a little bit guarded in what he was saying. But he started off by saying that he was a little bit disappointed that we didn't take the game to them a bit more in the second half, which I think is a little bit harsh on us to a certain degree, because Burnley were piling it forward and launching it. But he did say that when you get games like that, you have to deal with crosses. You know what it's going to be like. They're now showing now that we dealt with crosses. They're just showing one or two of the ones that we didn't deal with particularly well, but by and large we did. And just a couple of points I'm noting in case I forget. He was asked about a new striker.
Yes, he was.
Lad Deer at Rennes was particularly mentioned. He didn't comment at all on Rennes, on the Rennes deal, rather Deer deal. But he said he was asked what sort of striker he'd like, and he said, well, one who scores goals, of course, would be
always helps.
Pilot. But what he described was effectively perhaps a slightly younger and maybe less hamstring prone Antonio, somebody who can run in behind the channels and that sort of thing. So and somebody with a bit of pace. So those are his criteria. So it's a difficult window. There's not many players around, and he said the finances have been shot in a lot of places by COVID. So
how did you read that? No, did you? No, did you just coming back to that specific point? Did you sort of take that as a bit of an excuse for mentioning COVID, because we know we've got money, or should have money in the bank. The wage bill has been reduced hugely. Hilaire's gone.
I think it's a valid comment. To be fair, he's sorry.
Dyche is on. Should we come back to you?
He's still there. Sorry.
Yeah. Have you got me? Dyche is on.
Do you really want to talk about him? Yeah. Okay. I'll go and listen to him then.
Okay. All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to Gnome in just a minute. Gnome's going to go and listen to what gravelly voice old Dyche has got to say about the game. Come on.
Hang on. You sounded like the character out of who was it? Rainbow. Was it
Zippy?
Huh? Anyway,
I think that's harsh. I thought that was a pretty good one. Anyway, impressions aside, and I don't think any of us is ever going to make a career out of impressions. Pinky. No, David Moyes making the point there that he wants a striker. I mean, we could have all picked that one out of the bag. But do you think that's a bit of an excuse, talking about COVID and the fact that not everyone's got a lot of money to spend? I think that's cover for the board.
As much as I like to cane the board at every single opportunity, in case people haven't realised that, I think it's a reasonable comment. The general point is with the board, they've never put enough money into the club, full stop. So the reality is, when COVID does come along, we're obviously not going to have enough money. That's the long and the short of it.
Sure.
But when Arsenal Football Club are having to borrow £120 million, from the government, the Bank of England club borrowing from the Bank of England, essentially, that tells you the state of football finance. And For us, you know, match day income that we've lost this season would be probably somewhere 25, 27 million pounds. You add it to probably 7 or 8 million pounds from last season. You've got a 30 million pound hole there,
yeah,
which they plugged with a rights issue. But let's get it back to where it was. It was the disastrous transfer expenditure under Pellegrini, which David Sullivan sanctioned. You know, we've spent a lot of money in the early part of the Pellegrini reign, and because of the way that Sullivan actually organises the club's finances, in the first season of a normal 3-year run of a manager, they get about 60% of the 3-year contract transfer budget. In year 2, they normally get about 30% of the 3 years chunk. And in year 3, when Sullivan wants the supporters to turn on a manager, they normally get about 10%. You know, if you actually look at it, when he had Pellegrini and before that, whether it was Allardyce and Bilic, he looks at it as, you know, he'll appoint a manager, and in over a 3-year period, he'd look at it like that and say, right, in year 1, you can spend 60% of what you get over 3 years. And effectively what David Moyes is having to do is make do with a bit of the 30% plus the 10% to actually run the team. What I suspect we'll get to is next season, there might be some more money available on that basis. Provided the supporters are back in the ground. Whether or not David Moyes is still around to be the manager that gets to spend it is the debate. And still no news on a contract, and we don't know whether that's the chairman or the manager that is stalling on it. But it's, what I would say is, given the fact that he's had such limited funds to spend, for us to be sitting in 8th position, I think David Moyes is outperforming where he could expect it to be, and he's actually creating a real problem now for David Sullivan. So I've got a sneaking view that Sullivan doesn't particularly want to hand David Moyes the 60% of a 3-year slice of transfer kitty. I've just got the sneaking feeling that Sullivan would rather have a new manager in place and say, great stuff, Moyes kind of tidied up the previous manager's mess, and then he can say to a new manager, here's a chunk of money for you to go and spend. And I would love it, just love it, for David Moyes still to be there in September and actually get given a fair crack of the whip with a decent transfer kitty, and then maybe go and get a striker of a top draw quality. Because do we need one striker? Do we need 2 strikers? You know, do we need a new left back? Do we need a bit of a partial midfield? So again, we're going to be in a position where I think we're probably going to need to go to the market and get 4 players in the summer. Never mind now, in the summer, there's probably 4 players you need to go and get, of which certainly a striker will be one. But it keeps coming back to the chairman. Do we think it's COVID? There's a bit of it, but I think the biggest slice of the reason why the manager isn't getting the money is because the chairman just doesn't want to break the way he runs the club, which is on a 3-year cycle. And I think he's going to have a massive problem, because if we finish in 8th position, he's going to look mightily silly saying to a manager that has achieved that on a shoestring budget, I don't fancy you to have a go next year, mate. You know, so at the minute, I think Moyes is enhancing his reputation.
Yeah.
I think the chairman is absolutely cementing his reputation. That's for sure.
Very much so. And interestingly, a little birdie told me this week that Frank Lampard's situation is being keenly watched by our boardroom over at Chelsea. So just keep an eye on that one and see what happens. And talking about Moyes' future there, Frank, of course, you know, there's been a lot of question marks and doubts expressed over what he's doing at the Bridge. But yeah, very interesting. We'll see how that one develops. A little bit of a KUMB exclusive for you there, perhaps. I don't think that one's come out elsewhere at all. Rio, just before I go back to Gnome, I wanted to ask you quickly, are we back here where we were in sort of 85, 86, and a couple of times since? We're kind of potentially on the not I wouldn't say we're on the cusp of greatness, but we're on looking at possibly a real breakthrough here for West Ham, a chance to push this club on. We've said 3 points away from the Champions League zone. And here we are with another real opportunity to push this team on. I think it was Sam Allardyce most recently, whose team were, in the top 4 at Christmas, and there was no investment in January. Mentioned 85, 86, of course, and going back further. There's been other times where the club's had a real chance to push on. Does this feel like another example of that for you? Or, do you think this is just the same situation for everybody, that, everyone's struggling at the moment, as Pinky said? Arsenal, of course, had to make that huge loan from the Bank of England. And what do you make of that situation?
Yeah, there's elements of both for me. I think the most recent example was 2015-16, where Bilic was in charge. We were so close to the top 4 then.
Yeah, of course.
In January, we didn't invest properly, did we? We bought Emaniki in on loan. We could have pushed on in that January window and pushed for the European place. And then the following summer, we should have built around Payet. And when we moved to the Olympic Stadium, we could and should have gone on to better things. But as is the West Ham way, we just collapse. We've done it 3 or 4 times lately on the cusp of greatness. This year is it's a difficult one to gauge, isn't it? Because of the whole COVID situation. Yeah, you're playing in front of empty stadiums. It's hard to gauge how much the effect of playing with no fans is having on the players. We've been through this on the numerous occasions that some players must, despite the fact it's a competitive match, it does feel like a training game for them. So it's difficult to gauge. But the pessimist in me, and with our current ownership, you just know this particular step away from being able to push on again is going to end in the same manner it has done the last few occasions. The fall from grace is just around the corner. The situation where the manager is going to be, and his coaching team, all without contracts in a few months' time.
Yeah,
we don't know if our crown jewel will still be here next season, because bigger clubs are sniffing, and once he goes, that leaves a huge gap in the centre of midfield, one that would be incredibly hard to replace. Again, we should be building a team around him, encouraging him to stay for a few seasons longer at least, saying, Declan, you're the king of this particular domain. These are the players we're going to build around you, push us on to greater things. But you just know for a fact that the ambition of the fans, the ambition possibly of the players, is not matched by those in positions of power. So you just know for a fact that this little excursion into we could be good is going to end up 8 months down the line into what the hell happened there again.
Yeah, it's kind of ingrained, isn't it, as a West Ham supporter? But who knows? You never know. It might be about to change. We can only hope, can't we? We can only hope. But West Ham, in a really strong position, as we said today, after that 1-0 defeat of Burnley. Gnome has been listening to the Burnley manager, Sean Dyche, who has just been interviewed by Amazon Prime about his team's defeat today. Gnome, he suggested that he might, say that he was a little bit aggrieved by what he saw, felt his side deserved more than, going back up north with nothing to show for their efforts. Is that how it transpired?
Basically, yeah. Disappointed with the result. Lots more possession than is usual for an away team in the Premier League, and we'll keep doing what we can. I'll be talking to the owners to see what funds are available. Really, nothing much.
Yeah.
I was talking about Moyes earlier on, which was far more interesting. And the comments where we were getting onto the transfer window, and you said something along the lines of, is COVID an excuse? And I think a valid comment that the situation at the moment means that can't remember a window going on this long with so few transfers being made.
Yeah.
COVID, plus there's also some administrative stuff with Brexit to consider these days. Whereas EU players were automatically allowed in, you've now got to look at whether or not they actually qualify for the appropriate documentation and rights to settle, that sort of thing. So there's all that going on. What he did say was he was asked about Declan Rice, and he said, how do the rumours affect you? We're hearing of bidding wars between Man United and Chelsea. And he said, well, we've had no contact from either of them. And he says, we don't want it. And he's very adamant that he doesn't want Rice to go anywhere, which is fair enough. So just remembering what else he said. He mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned Dawson.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's now had 4 clean sheets.
Yes.
And he said, well, we've got a lot of competition in those places. We've got Diop, Balbuena. Instead, even Cresswell plays across there when we play that way. And he said he's setting the standard. He's got the shirt effectively. So he's pleased with Dawson, pleased with the resilience. He said overall he might have hoped that the second half we might have played a little bit more, as we were saying, perhaps in their half. But he was also, there was a joke he made about Antonio being made man of the match, which was the decision of Ali McCoist. And sort of Moyes gave a wry grin and said, McCoist, what does he know about scoring goals? Which obviously gave a bit of a laugh to everybody. So
who was yours, Gnome? If you had to pick, who would you have as man of the match? Because I didn't ask you this one.
I was Rio sort of stole my thunder. I thought I'll keep quiet. I won't mention him, so that I'll be the only one who mentions Declan Rice. But I was beaten to it. So Antonio, a very, very close second, and I fully take on board. Peaky's got a very good point in that not just the goal, but he kept the Burnley defence honest in a way that Haller never did.
Yeah.
You go and ask Tarkowski and me, not me, but me with an extra E, who they'd rather be playing against, Haller or Antonio, and you'll get your answer. Yeah. So I'll give it to Declan Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, for the reasons I was saying earlier on. So
yeah, fair enough. So that's 2 nominations for Declan, 1 for Antonio. I mean, I think once again it's one of those games where I think we're fortunate to have quite a few potential candidates. I mean, I think I'd probably go for Dawson again for the second time in 3 games, purely on the basis that
third on my list.
Yeah, since he's come into the team, and I want to talk about this because it's a positive and it is exceptional for West Ham as well. I mean, 4 games, 4 clean sheets for West Ham since Dawson come into the side. I don't think there's any that's any coincidence. He's come in and we were all kind of concerned, weren't we? This is the funny thing about football. We all the knowledge between us, all these watching games over the years, and all of us were concerned about Craig Dawson coming into the team, and it's been fantastic. It's done a really, really good job. I mean, we saw, I think, Gnome, we were looking at some of the replays on Amazon Prime of some really difficult situations that we faced. We spoke about that header. There was a ball swung into the 6-yard box where he was
incredible.
Yeah, he was going backwards, wasn't he? And he still managed to get it clear and avert the danger there. But just looking, actually, we talked about the match stats. Rio mentioned just before the final whistle that he wasn't aware of many shots on target. And that's actually borne out by the match stats. I mean, possession, West Ham 45 to Burnley's 55. West Ham 15 shots to Burnley's 10. But on target, West Ham only 4 shots on target and Burnley only 2 efforts on target. And I think Pinky made the point also that the goalkeepers hadn't really been tested, and that's borne out. But going back to the issue I want to talk about, the 4 clean sheets, 4 consecutive clean sheets, we think that's the first time West Ham have done that since 1985, 86. So 36 years, 36 years, fantastic stuff. Just looking at the XGs for the last 4 games, going back to okay, so I've only got the league games here. So the last 3 in the league, 0-0, the draw at Southampton. Southampton's XG for that game, 0.67. The Everton game, Everton's XG for that game, 0.37. And today, West Ham's XG, 1.73 to Burnley's 0.4. So that's astonishing. I'm imagining that Stockport's, which I don't have available because this is just for the Premier League, is going to be lower than that, lower than all those 3, because I don't think they had a decent effort on goal. But that's some turnaround, isn't it, Pinky? That you know, incredibly low statistics in terms of what we've you know faced in the last 4 games. And who do you put that down to? I mean, you know, I've mentioned Craig Dawson coming into the team, saying that can't be a coincidence, but Bonner as well has been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he? And Kufal or Sufal, however you pronounce it, and Cresswell as well. That unit has been absolutely incredible, hasn't it, over the past few games, and looking one of the strongest in the Premier League, you'd say.
I think if you look at a unit of, dare I say it, Rice, Souček, Ogbonna, and Dawson, absolutely solid, rock solid. And I think what, you know, Rice and Souček are covering a lot of ground to stop, you know, people getting in behind the fullbacks. I think which is helping. So our defensive effort is excellent, and this is the unfortunate thing for the balance in the team and what our supporters are expecting. The price you pay for being that solid sometimes is you haven't got quite as many options going forward, and I don't equate it with parking the bus. I actually think it's good football to do that. You know, stopping the opposition scoring, I think, is one of the primary things you've got to do as a football team, because you don't see 5-0s and 6-0s that often in the Premier League. You know, these are top teams. So for my money, I think the manager has looked at the players he's gone, do you know what? With what I've got, first thing I'm going to do is make sure we're not conceding many. Why am I going to do that? Because I've only got one striker. So if we concede a goal, you know, what's the odds of me getting 2? They're not great, you know, and therefore the manager's got to set a team up to be practical, and defeats sap confidence week after week. You imagine the job that, you know, Sam Allardyce has got at West Brom at the minute. The win they got today against Wolverhampton Wanderers is massive. The difference that will make to belief. And when you're down there and you're losing games week after week, the losing mentality sinks in. That's how you get relegated. That's when you see a massive churn in your playing staff. And I'm thinking back to the last time we went down and we were in spirit-sapping defeat after spirit-sapping defeat. And then what happens? You have to then send for a manager that nobody particularly wanted, but who actually knew the score. And what he did was he actually ripped out all of the players who had been sucked into that losing mentality week after week and started from scratch again. That's what happens if you say, well, it's okay to run the risk of a 3-2 game every single week. You know, most of our lot would like that. Would say, yeah, we'd rather win 3-2. I'd rather win 3-2 every week. But the fact of the matter is, we haven't got the personnel available to the manager to get the 3. So we can't afford to give the opposition 2. So that's why if you play a 4-2-3-1, if you've got players of the caliber of Rice and Souček sitting in front of your back 4, that's how you're doing it. That's how you're tidy. A rock solid centre half combination with 2 players in front of them that are doing a lot of covering. You know, we're solid, we're decent. You know, I'm sorry, but what's wrong with that? I don't know.
No, absolutely. And this is, you know, it all ultimately, I think, comes back to that question of substance over style, or, you know, which you prefer, doesn't it? And I guess with all things, the answer, as with all things, the answer is somewhere in the middle. Gnome, I think, has to leave us
I'm afraid so, gents. Been a pleasure, and I'll catch up with you Tuesday night, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. Gnome, any final comments before you depart?
I'm happy. 3 points. Not upset at all. So,
Can't say fair on that. Thank you for your company and all your comments as always. Now, we're going to be wrapping up very, very shortly anyway, but Gnome, of course, has to skip off. He has a previous appointment that he has to attend. So, and then there was 3, of course, as they said. As I said, we are going to wrap up very soon. But yeah, Rio, I mean, come on. you know, I know some people haven't been very happy about the style in which we're winning the games, but 4 clean sheets in a row for a club, you know, of West Ham's size and position in the Premier League. That's absolutely incredible, isn't it? And massive credit to and also I think Pinky made a very good point there. It isn't, of course, just about the defence. It's the shape of the whole team. You know, Pinky spoke about Souček and Rice. The amount of times we saw there was some moments today where Angelo Ogbonna, we saw him pop up on the left wing in the box, and you know the play quickly changed and was up the other end, and Souček, for example, or Rice was back there sitting in that in the hole in that centre half position, you know, covering. Of course, it's also about the Bowen and Fornell's, the tremendous work that they're doing to cover those full backs. And you know, they used to call it defending from the front. I think they call it a high press these days. But, you know, even Michail Antonio, the defensive work he does. So it is, you know, it's not just about the defence. It is the whole unit. But what a fantastic achievement that is for Moyes and West Ham. 4 clean sheets in a row. And as I just pointed out, the XG stats, they're showing that it hasn't been a fluke either. None of those teams that we've played in the last few weeks, you know, has been unlucky to come away. We have restricted them to a bare minimum of opportunities.
Yeah, most definitely. And you just go look at where he was 15 months ago, you know. Our players barely put a shift in. We was getting run ragged, you know.
Yeah.
The amount of work rate we do, as you said, not just at the back, but in the midfield. Our attacking midfielders are putting in work rate, which is beyond belief at times. I mean, Jarrod Bowen, he's got quite a few plaudits on the form tonight, but he's also got a little bit of stick about his decision making. Okay. But his work rate, and the same as Pablo Fornell, who's also been given a lot of credit as well for his 90 minutes sheer effort and engineering running.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't doing this 15 months ago, which is part of the reason we were so soft, because we had no one working and harrying the opposition back line. So they was easily distributing the ball into midfield. They were tearing us to shreds at times. You know? We just didn't look interested. But under the new coaching regime, we look twice as fit as we ever did.
Yeah.
Twice as interested. And the results are there for everyone to see. You know? One of my best friends said to me, like, last season, there's a lot of craft in the side, but not a lot of graft. And that's where we were struggling. It's gone the other way. We're picking up the points. The happy balance will come. As we've said, you know, we need a little bit of investment, a little bit of work, and the balance between the two aspects of working hard and performing fluently will eventually come. But at the moment, we're doing the basics right. We're keeping clean sheets. We're working incredibly hard. We're matching teams in terms of work rate instead of falling way behind. We're surrendering a lot of possession, and we're picking up points galore for us, you know, plus the clean sheets. So it's about striking that balance. And in time, that will come, you know. We have the tools at our disposal. We just need augmenting.
How? I mean, you mentioned fitness there, Rio, saying that, you know, it improved immeasurably since the Pellegrini era. How important is that to the team, and you know, how much of a part is that playing in these improved results this season?
It's a huge part. I mean, I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but in terms of goals conceded last season, we shipped so many in the last 15 minutes. It is unreal. Yeah. How many points did we throw away from winning positions last season? I think it's something ridiculous, like 18, 20, something like that.
I think it was more, yeah.
We couldn't run for 90 minutes. We struck it run for 60. Now, we work from minute 1 to minute 90, minute 94. And the improvement and the points are there for all to see, you know. I think Moyes said when he first came in his first spell, we need to work more. We need to work harder. We need to be fitter. It was a bit of a slow start for him in his first tenure, but he got us over the line. This time round, he's been afforded a lot more time at the helm. He's got his own coaching staff in doing the job for a longer period. And, you know, in terms of fitness and work rate, it's a completely different side to what we had last season.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you, Rio. Pinky, do you go along with that? You know, the improved fitness has having that palpable effect on the pitch?
Yeah, it's fitness, it's age profile. You know, I touched on it earlier about having the energy in the right part of the pitch. You know, you don't have to have centre backs that can do the length of the pitch in 11 seconds, provided you've got midfielders that can, if you get the drift. You know, and I think we've seen a big improvement in our ability to compete over 90. But I think we're just doing it. I think the manager needs better options from the bench. Interestingly, you know, I've got the Chelsea game on here now. I expect to see Giroud arrive at the London Stadium in the next 10 days on an 18-month contract. So I think at least he'll give some sort of an option to the manager if he does in fact arrive. But I think certainly, you know, we're not getting rolled over, and I think that's half the battle. And you know, we'd all love to see 2 or 3 goals every single week and shots peppering the opposition keeper and all the rest of it. Okay, but we just haven't got quite enough squad depth to be doing those sorts of things. And you know, I say roll the clock back over the last half a dozen years and refer to today's game. When have we been in a position to do that against Burnley in the last 4, 5, 6 years? We haven't. So is the issue necessarily David Moyes? Sometimes you've got to say, well, the opposition get a say in how you play each week as well. And you know, for us to be sitting where we are with our points tally where we are with a positive goal difference, I think it's okay. I think, you know, if I was marking David Moyes' school report, you know, I wouldn't put him in the same category as Fat Tony or Whispering Ray, you know, the lads I drink in the pub with, who are both deadbeats, but they are watching. You know, what I'd be inclined to do is say he's doing well, but perhaps needs to step it up a bit in due course. Okay. Yeah, I think we're being harsh on a manager if we think he should be doing better with the tools at his disposal than what he's got. And you know, he's got them fit, he's got them organised, he's got them motivated. You think back the last, you know, spells of the Pellegrini era, when players weren't sure who was going to take the throw in, when players weren't sure who was going to take the corner kick. You know, we all stood and watched that. Our however £1 million a season manager that we had, who's now disappeared back off to Spain, we were watching West Ham United teams who didn't know whose job it was to take a throw in or a corner kick. You don't see that under David Moyes. There you go.
Very true. Very true. Very well drilled, very well organised, very fit, and doing very, very well in the Premier League this year. As we said, West Ham, that win today, taking the Hammers up to 8th in the table, 29 points from 18 games. As I said earlier, that's just 3 points shy of the Champions League zone. It's also 3 points shy of third place Man City, and just 4 points shy, as Pinky has rightfully pointed out, of second placed Liverpool. Just 4 points off second place. And with half the season almost gone. Fantastic stuff from David Moyes and his squad. And if only we could push on a little bit. That, you know, as I said, this is the thing we keep coming back to every few years. You know, if only, if only. But we are in the middle of a transfer window. Who knows what it holds? Rio, let's before we do depart, let's dive into the KUMB.com forum match thread just one more time and just have a quick look at what the Hammers are saying. Are they happy Hammers, or are they, you know, slightly not so happy Hammers because of the style of football? What's the general consensus?
Again, the debate over style over substance is beginning to rear its head on the match thread. But I'd just like to point out a few of the comments that have been had. Chapo59 has put, poor decision making by the forwards nearly cost us today. We should have put this to bed much earlier. We look very good defensively. Ogban and Dawson look a great pairing. And Kufal, definitely Kufal, is a superb player. Rice was his usual consistent self along with Souček. Benrahma needs some luck and also to lift his head at times and see the bigger picture. Bowen very industrious, but the final ball is not always good. Great win in a game that we usually draw or lose, onwards and upwards. Jack Hammers put, I thought it was a good performance, but our final product is somewhat lacking. Rice should have played in Benrahma. Bowen should have scored. Yarmolenko should have squared it to Antonio. Lots of other chances like Fornell's being blocked. decent, but we're still lacking a bit. Another striker we are confident we can start instead of Antonio to adequately replace him from the bench, and we are golden. SH put, not easy on the eye, is it? Which Alf Gitt said, nor's the wife, but I wouldn't chop her in half though either. Profit marginal. He made Bowen our man of the match. We had 7 players out there who were comfortably better than either the opposite opponent playing against them or direct counterpart. Just beat one of our bogey teams in 3rd gear, almost as if we know we're preserving our energy to go again the second half of the season. West London Hammer, 4 clean sheets in 4 for Dawson. Who would have thought it? Not a pretty win, but we should have been by much more, given that Bowen, Lanzini and Yarmo wasted chances. We were clinical when it mattered, though. An excellent 3 points, comfortable. We restricted their chances, and now we're looking up the table. Surprised he didn't sub Antonio, but he was fantastic, and he makes all the difference to this side. There's a lot of candidates for man of the match on the forum. As I said, Dawson's been given credit, Bonner's been given credit, Declan Rice, naturally, Mikel Antonio. It's great to see that in a performance like that, which wasn't the most fluent, wasn't the most attacking, that 5 different players in that team have all been given a man of the match shouts by our members.
Yeah. And I mean, I was just going to add, we've had quite a few on the YouTube live chat as well, going through some of those candidates. Elaine Nelson, of course, I've got to mention Elaine, because if you remember, Elaine came on to us a couple of weeks ago and said that, since she'd been following us, West Ham hadn't lost a game. And Elaine's posted again tonight to say, am I your lucky charm, chaps? A 1-0 win for the Hammers after being told by the other half to listen to you and not watch on the TV. And she says, she adds, this is the 3rd win when I've listened to you. So, Elaine, keep coming in. Keep populating the chat forum and stick with us. So you clearly are a lucky charm. Just looking at some of your man of the match nominations, foregone conclusion says Dawson, kept Woods quiet, tough guy. Mark English, Ogbonna, man of the match for me. Hobo, Oggy, man of the match. Tankman, Oggy, definitely man of the match. That's interesting because we didn't touch on, we mentioned Ogbonna, but none of us actually went for him. Just reminding you of what the team here went. Pinky went for Antonio, Rio and Gnome for Rice, and I went for Dawson as our man of the match nominee. So backing up, Rio, really, what you're saying there about, so many potential candidates for man of the match. Harry Clapham says, very much enjoyed watching Dawson calming and winding up Wood and Barnes. He's been superb. Tankman saying Antonio did a great job. And so there you go. Just lots of candidates, as we said, from the YouTube live chat. Pinky, we touched upon Sean Dyche, and I think you mentioned also Albion's really well. In fact, both Albions won today, didn't they? 2 very, very important wins in that battle against relegation. West Brom winning 3-2, I think it was, in the first Black Country derby for about 8 years. Obviously, as you'll be aware, a massive game up there, that one. And Brighton securing, I think it was a 1-0 win at Leeds as well today. And so that really adds the pressure on Burnley. Throughout the game, you were looking at the forum and keeping an eye on, is Up the Clarets, was it? I think it was the forum, Up the Clarets. And some very, very unhappy people. Sean Dyche, of course, was, a real link with a lot of clubs, linked with West Ham, of course, a year or so ago, but a lot of Burnley fans not happy at all. Is that still the case? I presume it is now at the final whistle.
It's absolutely the case, and what we sort of seeing Burnley drifting in towards there, and certainly if their general support, are reflected in those comments on Up the Claret, they're bored of the football that Dyche is playing.
Mm-hmm.
They think he's sending out the wrong team, and it's kind of like the 1-0 to the Burnley in either direction. They've grown tired of watching it, and it's up to them what they want to do with their manager. But I could pretty much guarantee you, with new owners, if they change the manager now, within a year they'll be certainly heading towards the Championship, and within 18 months they'll be in it. No question in my mind of that. I wouldn't want to watch Sean Dyche's teams week in, week out either, let's be honest. And if your sole objective is purely survival, then you wouldn't take that from anyone, whether it's Sean Dyche, David Moyes, or whoever.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about us for a second again, if I may.
Sure.
Here we are, 18 games gone. If the Fulham-Chelsea game stays where it is at the minute, which is 0-0 after 24 minutes, we will be 2 points ahead of Chelsea, 5 points ahead of Arsenal. Yeah. So tell me what we're doing wrong. Mm-hmm. Tell me what we're doing wrong. And you touched on Frank Lampard there and our board perhaps keeping an eye on developments in West London. Look at the money Chelsea Football Club have spent on players. Mm-hmm. It's Pellegrini-esque in terms of some of the money they've spent. And for them to be 2 points below us at this point in time, there is a manager who's under pressure. That is for absolute certain. And on the basis that you spent that much money at Chelsea and sit 2 points below us at the moment, and our manager spent relatively little, mm-hmm. Why would we want Frank Lampard? I can see the attraction to Frank Lampard because if Chelsea give him the heave-ho, where's his next gig coming from? And talk about peaking perhaps a bit too soon. No, not for my money, not at this point in time. And that's even if we park all the sort of supposed history between him and our supporters, which, if you're watching this, Mr. Sullivan, I think you would be unwise to ignore. Okay. So, but you could choose to put some paraffin on the fire if you want. But I think I'd be looking for better than Frank Lampard shown in terms of what he's capable of. So, we're ahead of 2 London clubs and we're a point behind the 3rd club in Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
What more do we want?
Well,
and that's where I'd almost be tempted to leave my last word tonight, because I think we're doing okay. I think the manager is doing well with what he's got. I'd like the chairman to back him with more funds. But we are very much a work in progress. I think we are a team that's probably punching slightly above our weight this season because we've spent our money wisely. We just haven't spent enough of it, or we haven't got enough depth in the staff. And that's where I see it.
I think, if I recall correctly, Pinky, you went for 8th or 9th as our projected final position. Eighth,
I think would be a good season for us. Mm-hmm. Look at the teams above us, and you've got to say realistically, who are we going to displace between now and the end of the season? Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll displace Manchester United or Liverpool or Man City or Leicester or Everton. Tottenham, I've always got the ability to sort of like have a wobble. Southampton, I think, under their manager, are very well organised. So you could argue of the teams above us, maybe Saints and maybe Tottenham, but equally you could argue of the teams below us, Chelsea aren't performing as they should do, and Mikel Arteta will be another one at Arsenal Football Club who, might be getting a few awkward phone calls from the people above him in the club's hierarchy saying, we know we haven't exactly backed you with huge money, Mikel, but this is Arsenal and we're wallowing behind West Ham United. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so 8th, I think, would be good. 7th, I think, would be superb. Bearing in mind what's above us. And to do that, when your signings this year have been what? A right back for what, 5 million? Seriously. What do people expect?
Yeah. Hallelujah. I totally agree. Thank you, Pinky, for all your contributions this afternoon. Excellent stuff once again. Rio, the final word. I'm going to pass over to you then. As far as this afternoon's game has gone, as we said, West Ham 1, Burnley 0. The Hammers up to 8th in the Premier League, just 3 points off a 3rd place. What more do we want? Asks Pinky. Do you want any more? Or are you equally happy with what you're seeing?
Given where we are in terms of squad finances, Pinky's right. What do we want? No, we're punching above our weight, really. Even the teams below us and around us have invested more in the summer than we have. And we've just sold a striker for £20 million, losing 25 million in the process. And yet here we are, 8th place, 3 points off the Champions League. Okay, it's not particularly pretty at times. We've gone to teams like Leicester and Wolves, and we play them off the park. So when we do click, it can happen. But in teams against teams like Burnley, who traditionally, over the last 5 or 6 years, have put in a shift on us and played us off the park in terms of work rate, effort, and nullifying us, they've tactically outdone us. There was a shift today, and it's a welcome shift, you know. We've made more progress under Moyes in the last year than we did under Pellegrini, given all the money he got given, you know.
Yeah.
People have got to kind of sit back and take stock of who's in charge, how they operate, and the miracle that Moyes and his backroom staff are doing. Because let's make no bones about it, it is pretty much a miracle because we're being ripped asunder in terms of strong strength. We're getting little to replace the players who departed. And yet here we are in 8th place, our best position possibly, I think it's since the Village season, wasn't it? It's 5 years. 5 years, little investment since. We're doing all right. We're doing okay.
Great stuff. Rio, thank you as always for your contributions this afternoon. It's miraculous, says Rio. Didn't he call you Mario there for some reason? I don't know why. Rio says it's miraculous the job that David Moyes and his backroom staff are doing. West Ham, 8th in the Premier League, another home win, narrow home win, but it's a win nonetheless, up to 8th in the Premier League. 4 points off a 3rd place with just 1 game shy of half of the season complete. And as we mentioned, what we believe to be a 35-year record of 4 consecutive clean sheets for Moyes and his boys. It's all pretty good, really, if you think about it. You know, we've had worse seasons and worse games. We march on. We go on. It's another win. What can you say? Great stuff. Thank you to everybody who's joined us this afternoon on YouTube for our live stream. As always, it's great to have you here. We love reading your comments and all your contributions. Thank you. Do join us again for our next, is it Tuesday or Wednesday we're up next? Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday, is it Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Well, thank you, Rio. We'll see you again in that case then on Tuesday for our next game. Until then, great stuff.